one evil condones another. So, I
Okay.
think that,
But see,
uh,
that's nothing more than like a baseless talking point that pre-assumes that an abortion is evil, right? Like whenever I hear conservatives say that, and like all conservatives ever do, it just doesn't make sense to me because you're like two wrongs don't make a right, right? The first wrong would be the instance of rape, and the second wrong would be the instance of abortion. And you're saying, well, that doesn't make it right to get the abortion, but in that statement, you are pre-assuming that the abortion is wrong. Give an argument for that.
well, I believe in life at conception. So, I think that even though, it's just a clump of cells is what you would call it, but I do believe that there is uh, life in that, and that there is a potential for that to grow into a flourishing human being. And
Okay.
I do believe that all humans have rights. So,
Yeah, but even if we assume that the fetus has a right to life, for instances of like rape, I think it's still clear that the woman should be able to access abortion, just in virtue of the fact that she's under no obligation to forcefully provide her bodily resources to keep the fetus alive, right? Like let's imagine like an analogy here where you make barely enough money to buy food for yourself, and every single night when you go to bed, somebody like walks in through your front door and takes half of your resources, your food, to feed themselves, right? And if
right,
they
but
do
there's
this for the next
also
9 months, right? There's like a 3 to 5% chance that you're going to die from starvation, and it's going to significantly impact your physical and mental health. And all that you have to do to prevent this person from taking half of your resources is to lock that front door at night. Do you think that you should be within your legal abilities to do so? Even if, in locking your front door at night, preventing that person from stealing half of your food causes them to die from starvation as a result?
well, I think if you're not able to sustain yourself as well as a child, which I do believe there is help that you can get for that financially, but if you truly feel that you're incapable, that you have the option to put your child up for adoption once
Well,
they've been
I'm
birthed.
actually cutting you off here because I asked you a very specific hypothetical question that I'd like you to answer to.
Sorry. Uh, well, I don't think that's really fair, because I think if in the sense, or in the case that you aren't able to afford a child,
Well,
that you should be
remember,
able
right?
to.
Like my hypothetical question had nothing to do with children or like affording a child. It had to do with somebody breaking into your house in the middle of the night and taking half of your food.
Sorry, I was thinking that you were saying that that was a child that was born. Obviously, I don't agree with somebody coming into my house and stealing my food.
Okay. Can I? Do you need me to repeat the analogy for you? Do you need me to
Yeah,
repeat the
maybe.
hypothetical
Sorry.
question? Okay. So you make enough money to buy yourself food to sustain your own life, and you
Right.
spend every dollar you make on that food, right? And every night when you go to bed, somebody walks into your house through the front door and takes half of it. And you know they're going to do this for the next 9 months. You know they're going to take half of your resources every single night. But you also know if they do this for the next 9 months, that you're going to experience mental pain, you're going to experience physical pain because you're starving, and there's around a 3 to 5% chance that you're going to starve to death. All you need to do to prevent this person from taking half of your resources in the middle of the night is to lock your front door. But if you lock your front door, they'll no longer have access to your resources and they'll die from starvation because of it. Do you think that you should retain the legal ability to lock your front door at night and prevent them from taking your resources from you without your consent?
Okay. So, I'll say yes. I do think I should have the ability to lock my door. And if I may, I do think that your argument is a little. Well, it's kind of like shoving me into a corner, because I would reasonably argue that the person I'm locking out would be able to get resources otherwhere, or elsewhere,
Well, you know,
and
you actually wouldn't reasonably argue that, as I posited in the hypothetical, that if you lock your front door, they're going to die from starvation. Those were the
no, I
parameters
know.
of the
That's why I'm saying you're
hypothetical.
putting. That's why I'm saying you're putting me into a corner with that hypothetical.
Well, see, it's actually you putting yourself into a corner because you recognize even if they die, if they don't have access to your resources, you're still under no obligation to give your resources to them.
But
So then why would a victim of rape be under an obligation to provide their bodily resources to keep the fetus alive?
okay, but in your hypothetical, it just doesn't make any sense, because I would have you're telling me something that is pretty much impossible, or it's so unlikely.
Okay. Well, so hypotheticals only need to be possible, right? In order to be used as a valid technique to test one's logic, right? Because logic and reason exist in in the realm of what is conceptually possible to occur, right? Not what is actually possible to occur, right? We could like think of these hypothetical scenarios, and even if they're unrealistic, we could still use them to better understand the principles that underpin our positions. Because although the pragmatics of the question that I asked you, somebody taking half of your food in the middle of the night and dying if they don't have access to it, is unrealistic, still yet your conceptual takeaway from the hypothetical being, well, you have no obligation to provide your resources to somebody else without your consent, even if it kills them. That is realistic. And in fact, that is what we see happen every day when a victim of rape accesses abortion.
Can you go further on that?
The conceptual takeaway of the analogy is that you don't think you would be under an obligation
Right.
to allow a non-consenting third party to steal your resources from you without your consent, if even in cutting them off from your resources they die. Well, then why can't we just say that victims of rape are under no obligation to allow a non-consenting third party to steal their resources from them, even if in cutting the resources off they would die?
I see your point. That that is a fair point. I think my counter to that would only really be my moral grounds. I think that regardless if you have to give up a portion of your your resources, I guess you would say, in order to keep this human to allow them to grow. I think it's only fair that they have a right to live as well.
Why don't you hold the same moral position in the hypothetical I gave you? Because in the hypothetical, you said that you should retain the legal right to lock your front door at night, even if it cuts that third party off from accessing your resources and kills them from starvation, right? So you don't
Right.
apply this
No,
moral principle to
I see what you're
yourself in the
saying.
hypothetical, but you
No,
do apply this moral principle to 9-year-old girls that got raped.
no.
Why?
Okay. No. Okay. So first, well, there's hold on. You're putting words in my mouth. There's a lot. Okay, but
Everything I just
because
said
well,
is like is a
right. But you
fair
said
and
9-year-old
true.
girl. I never. I have a lot of different opinions on different states of abortion.
Everything that I just said was a fair and true conception of the
Right.
views that you've
Okay.
shared with us so far.
Right. So I would not agree that if a girl at 9 years of age and is unable to healthily grow a child, that I think
So
that
if
it
I have a
should be
crystal
fair for
ball and we
them.
know that this 9-year-old girl wouldn't die as a result of the pregnancy, would you say that she should be forced to carry that fetus?
If a healthcare professional can say that for a fact, then I do think that it should be gone through
Okay,
with.
so then don't tell me that I'm putting words in your mouth. This is what you
Well,
actually believe
but
in.
do you see where I'm coming from? Because I think,
No, I
well,
don't see
because
where you're coming
and
from at
I
all, quite frankly. In fact, I've already been able to effectively dispute your logic because once again, you told us that if a non consenting third party is taking your resources away from you without your consent, you should be within your legal right to cut off those resources being supplied to them, even if they die as a result. But then all of a sudden, if a non consenting third party is taking resources away from a 9-year-old girl without her consent, right, she should be forced to provide them to the fetus, even if it tortures and mutilates her body for 9 months, right? The same exact logic, right, that underpins that hypothetical scenario that I gave you underpins victims of rape accessing abortion. So just to clear this up, here's the question I'm going to ask you, okay? What is the relevant logical distinction between the analogy that I gave you, where you perfectly agreed with the notion that you should be able to cut off a supply of your resources to a non-consenting third party, even if it kills them, right? And the situation of a rape victim accessing abortion. Go ahead and unmute and give us the relevant logical distinction. I sent you a request to unmute. It doesn't look like you accepted it. You declined it. I don't know why you declined the request. That's kind of funny, though. If you want to unmute yourself, click on your profile picture in the bottom right-hand corner and click the icon of the mic.
I was muted.
There you go. So
Sorry.
what is a relevant distinction?
Well, I just think that okay. I think that it's unfair to assume that because you're giving a hypothetical that doesn't,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that doesn't really. make a whole lot of sense considering we live in a civilization where there are options. There are always going to be different households you can go to, different, people dumpster dive, so it's a, I just think it's unfair. But a question
Okay,
I
well,
have
guess what,
is,
buddy?
hold on. I'm
Guess
talking,
what?
please.
Facts don't.
Let
No,
you talk.
and I'm cutting you
Let you
off. And
talk.
I'm cutting you off. Facts don't care about your feelings, bud. If you
I
think that it's
understand.
unfair that I was able to successfully demonstrate why your logic is bad, that's a you
No,
problem, not a me problem. Not to mention that we could conceivably put the analogy that I gave you into multiple real life circumstances, such as living in the middle of the woods alone. Okay, somebody
right.
comes across your house in the middle of the woods, right, and they have to steal food from
As
your house in the middle of the night for the next nine
Okay,
months
I'm going to
before a
cut you off.
helicopter
As
comes
for
and
the
takes them out.
abortionist,
And if you lock your
sorry,
door in the middle of the night,
the
they're
9
gonna
year
have
old girl
nowhere
that
else
needs
to
to have
get
an
any
abortion.
food from, right? There is a realistic conception of the hypothetical that I gave you in the real world, but once again, right, when you just call this analogy unfair, right, that is just reality hurting your feelings, sucks to suck. Go ahead and give me the logical symmetry breaker between the analogy that I gave you and the scenario of a victim
Right.
of rape accessing abortion.
So is the girl accessing abortion? Is she going to die as a result of because in the hypothetical with me and locking the door, you said that I have a 3% chance of starving. Is the same apply for the girl?
That's where I get that number from. That's the average mortality rate for abortions by great victims.
Right. I think
Oh, sorry, not for
you know
abortions, for pregnancy.
you've given me time to think. I think that it's fair to give an abortion if again it puts the person in jeopardy of if they're unable to support or if they're unable to continue to live. I think that everybody deserves life, and it's unfair if you are putting yourself in a position or been put in a position based on rape that allows you to or removes your ability to survive, if that makes sense.
No, none of that made sense. Can you repeat it in a way that does?
Sorry, I'm really nervous. Well, I think so. So the girl in this instance, she should have the right if in the event that it is sorry making it difficult for her to or sorry making it very difficult for her to live in the sense that she is worrying about her survival. I think survival matters above all else. And if the fact that she was raped and that she has to give those resources away, and that gives her the 3% chance of starving, that's unfair to her in the sense that she's now at a risk of dying because of it. And I think that's where my line would be.
Okay, well,
I think
guess what? That line applies to every pregnant great victim ever.
uh,
So
but
so you just said that abortion is absolutely justified in circumstances of rape. Thank you.
no,
Oh no. Okay,
because
fuck you. I take my
okay,
thank you
but
back.
hold on, but all right. Well, I'm thinking, a 24-year-old that has a job, that is self-sustaining, able to live a normal life, as a lot of people are in America.
You,
Obviously not. I wouldn't say a
wait.
majority, but
You think that living 9 months being pregnant, onset by being raped, is normal?
no, I don't think that
Okay,
being
so then we
raped
can
is
agree that they're not living a normal life.
no normal life, as in they have the money to sustain themselves and survive.
Okay, well, guess what? That pregnancy on its own induces the mental and physical stressors, pain and trauma, as well as the pregnancy on its own is what would introduce that 3 to 5% chance of mortality related to the pregnancy, like per
You're
medical
saying pain
studies.
and trauma is a 3% chance?
No, those two things are separate. So the pregnancy would introduce mental and physical pain and trauma, as well as it would introduce
Right.
around a 3 to 5% chance of them dying as a result of the pregnancy due to complications with the pregnancy, right?
Right.
And this is going to be analogous, right, to like in the hypothetical, the
No,
3% chance
that's
of
a fair
you
point.
starving from death at the end of the 9 months, and like the mental and physical toll that having half of your like food taken away from you would have on you, right? Like it's analogous to any and all women or girls that got raped and then got pregnant. And in the sense that they're taking away mental and physical trauma and pain related to the rape and related to the pregnancy, as well as they now have a 3% to 5% chance of dying due to complications related to the pregnancy. So there's
So
actually like no logical symmetry breaker here between the hypothetical, right, and a woman or girl accessing abortion because they got raped and they got pregnant. In fact, the only difference, right, between between the analogy that I gave you and the instance of a woman or girl accessing abortion after getting raped would be the fact that in the analogy it was you, right, but as it relates
right.
to abortion, it's women and girls who are not you, right? So I honestly think that you just understand the logic, right? You understand the point, right, of not
I do.
of not wanting to be forced into providing your resources to a non-consensual third party against your will without your consent, right? As soon as it's you. But if it's like a woman or a girl that was raped, all of a sudden you no longer understand that and you want to force them into conditions in which you think you should never have to experience yourself.
I understand. And I think, in the scenario or the hypothetical that I was saving myself, you said that I had only the money to sustain myself. 50% of that was being stolen. And, that gave me a high chance of death or a
Well,
higher
just
chance of
gave you
death.
like a 3%
3%.
chance of dying because somebody was
3%.
stealing your
Right.
resources. I was introduced by the person stealing your resources, very similar to the 3% chance of dying due to the pregnancy,
I
introduced,
see.
by the
I
fetus
see.
living in a woman or girl's uterus and taking their bodily resources to stay
Now,
alive.
I think it really depends on, again, I want to bring like a healthcare professional as a sense. Like, I think
Oh,
that it should be up, doctor.
the moment you start mentioning healthcare professionals is the moment that you're no longer pro-life, because pro-life policy necessarily takes that decision out of the hands of the medical health care professional and puts it into the legislators on the state or federal level.
Okay. Well, I am pro life because I believe that everybody deserves a life, and aborting a child is removing a life, regardless of how much
Just
time they
like
have.
locking your front door at night in the hypothetical is causing that person to starve to death, yet you still think you should retain the legal right to lock your front door in that hypothetical. Stop virtue signaling, bruh. You are completely fine with cutting people off of your resources, even if they die as a result. But then when it's about a 9-year-old girl that was raped, all of a sudden you want to put that shield up
You
and
know,
claim that you're pro-life.
well, I guess I was originally I was under the impression that maybe I would certainly die if this continued to happen.
Okay, so then just
But
say that you weren't listening to me at all, because this whole time I've had a
okay,
very consistently clear analogy that I've been using to effectively refute your view here of somebody walking into your house in the middle of the night, taking half of your food for the next 9 months, and the idea that this will introduce around a 3% chance of you starving to death as a result, plus the mental and physical trauma to do with the fact that they're taking half of your resources away from you to begin with, should you retain, and of course you left. They can't debate me today, guys. So far, we are 2 hours into the stream. We have not had one guest be able to stay up here without rage quitting when I'm mid sentence. Holy cow. The Trump supporters are getting pushed today. They are getting pushed today. Honestly, I think I'm gonna kind of keep the foot on the gas for the rest of the stream. Usually I'm a little bit kinder. Today I'm not feeling as kind. Just maybe I'm a little bit tired. Didn't eat enough before I went live. But I think I'm gonna keep cooking. I'm gonna keep the foot on the gas because I want to see if we could go through a full 4-hour live stream with having every single Trump supporter that we're talking to inevitably rage quit because they can't handle the facts. But let's go to move on to that next guest. Hop in that queue if you happen to be an American adult that is pro-Trump. Yo, dude, look at like all of these people coping in the chat spamming W guests. Y'all are so fucking silly. I swear to God. Let's go to get that next guest up here right now. Go ahead and hop in that queue if you happen to be an American adult that is pro-Trump. We'll get you loaded in. We got that next guest, Ryan Scrow, connecting. We got that next guest, Ryan Scrow, connecting. What's up, Ryan?
Hey. Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? Are you MAGA?
Hey, not MAGA. Some would say I support.
I appreciate you, man. Unfortunately, we are just looking to talk to Trump supporters. You are so base, though, for not supporting him. That is awesome. That is awesome. Let's go to move on to the next guest, Caleb. While we are moving on to Caleb, Coral, thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat, saying keep cooking them, Dean. Yeah, dude, we're cooking today, I gotta say. Thank you so much for the $20, Coral. Let's get 200 Coral W's. I really seriously do appreciate you for your
what's
donation. What's up, Caleb? Do you support Trump?
Hell no.
Based. Just looking for debates, though. Show some love to Coral down below, as well as show some love to Michelle for the $10. Michelle says, as a survivor of grape who got pregnant due to it, I chose to have the baby. I dealt with a mental health issue still to this day. I'm not going to read that last sentence out just for the safety of the live. But Michelle, I'm really sorry if listening to that last conversation was a little bit hard for you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you for the $10, and I hope that you're doing better today. I'm talking about that last sentence that I just didn't want to read off on live. What's going on, Richie? Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay. How do you?
34.
Okay. I'm going to thank three more people here before we hop into our debate. I'm just going to throw you on mute because of a little bit of background noise. But real quick, Mac, thank you so much for the $20 super chat over on YouTube. Dude, let's get 200 Mac W's. Thank you so much, Mac. Mac says, reverse this on men. How would they feel if they were the ones forced to carry a pregnancy if it's not such a big deal? Dude, if men were the ones that were capable of pregnancy in this country, we would have had pro-choice freedoms enshrined into our Constitution in the first 10 amendments. Daniel, thank you so much for the $50 over on YouTube super chat as well. Daniel, holy fuck, bro. That is so incredibly kind of you. That is so much money. Let's get 500 Daniel W's. Daniel says, thank you again for continuing to give people hope that our country still has a future and for sticking to concrete facts when others I feel use baseless opinions fueled by ignorance. I love watching your streams. Listen, man, the whole point of these streams is just to try to convince people that critically thinking is cool, and it's something that they should do. And I really appreciate you for your kind words and the $50, Daniel. You are awesome. As well as Which Woman, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. As well as April, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. Thank you so much, April. Zachary and Ashley, I appreciate you both for the $5. Then another Danielle, thank you for the $15 over on Venmo. Danielle says, get you a burrito, man. You're doing great work. Dude, I've been eating like burritos like every single night from like Qdoba, Chipotle, and a handful of other places recently. So I actually really appreciate you for that. It is going to go towards a burrito. Let's show some love to Danielle down below. As well as Oscar, thank you for the $11 and the 11 cents on Venmo. Oscar says, I know that the Trump supporters rage quitting might be frustrating for you, but it's so satisfying to watch. You know what? As long as it's satisfying for you guys, I'm okay with it. But it does frustrate the hell out of me. As well as Weston, thank you for the $15 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Weston. Show some love to Weston. As well as Brittany and Miranda, I appreciate you both for the $10 on Venmo. Zoe with a 5, Kyle with a 5, and then Marilyn and Jenna with a 2. Thank you guys so much for the kindness. We are all cut up. If you're watching and you want to support me, you can find me on Venmo and PayPal in the link tree in my bio on TikTok, as well as Venmo and PayPal in the pin message of the YouTube. Anyways, Richie, I'm going to go ahead and send you an invite to unmute if you want to take it away and tell us why you support Trump. Love to hear you.
All right, man. Yeah, so I would just say that I wouldn't say that I support everything he does, obviously. I'm 34. I don't think there's ever been a president in my lifetime that I've supported that I've actually like agreed with more than I disagreed with. I think we've had a very poor representation in my lifetime and probably in my parents' lifetime too. So I try to just look for the things where I can agree and find that he has done some things that I agree with, like trying to get a peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. Like, I think that if the agreement that they got in today holds, I would give him credit for that.
Okay. Yeah, listen, man, if he was able to like successfully negotiate an end of like Israel's terror on Palestine, right? That's definitely not going to make me sad. I'd be happy. I don't like know if like we could say that with certainty yet. You know, like Israel was
Yeah,
really
I don't
dropping
think so
bombs on
either.
like Gaza this morning. And you know, I think that Donald Trump's rhetoric and actions in the last 8 months of his presidency has fueled the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. You know, like when he like did a press conference with Netanyahu and just like straight up said that he wanted to go into Palestine and, you know, finish the job, ethnically cleanse the rest of the 2.1 million Palestinians and then build a Riviera for Netanyahu on the land.
I agree. I disagreed with him saying that. I disagreed with him getting involved by bombing Iran. I disagreed with. I would say, like, since he's been elected, I've disagreed with him a lot more than I've agreed with him, but I still support him. And, like, my hope is basically that by the
So why
time
do you
he's.
support him? Also, just real quick, Gideon, appreciate you for the $5 over on YouTube Super Chat. Good to see you again. The Discord is, the join code is just my name. Dean, go ahead.
Well, I support him because there's no guarantee that if we had gotten Kamala in office that she would have done a better job. So, and personally, I didn't think he was the best candidate for the position, but now that he's there, I want to support him in that. I want him to do a good job. Like I want the country to be better off
Okay. So
when
point
he
number one, I'd
leaves
say
and
that
everything.
we do have like a wait, I thought that was like a fake Gideon account. No, it's actually him. I'll go ahead and verify you. Just Gideon, be ready for the Discord. It's definitely it could be interesting at times. Anyways, so sorry, I'll go back to you now. You told us that we don't have a guarantee that if Kamala Harris was elected, things would be better off. I would say that the platform that she ran on absolutely guaranteed that to us. And then second
The
point here,
platform, but the platform that Trump ran on, he's not following through with what he said he would do either. So that's not a
right. Well,
guarantee.
guess what? Kamala Harris isn't Donald Trump. Okay, I understand that Donald Trump's not following through on what he promised, but he's also an adjudicated rapist, a 34-count felon, and he's
Yeah.
admitted to perving on girls. Kamala Harris is none of those things and more. And unlike Trump, she actually did follow through on the things that her and Biden had ran on prior to the 2020 election. Plus, her name is pronounced as Kamala. And additionally, here, you're just telling us that you support Donald Trump because you want him to exceed. Well, the fact of the matter is, if you want him to exceed, you shouldn't support him right now, and you should instead voice your disdain for the fact that he's not succeeding and actively hurting this country. I'm looking for the join logs over on the Discord so I could get welcome. Okay, go ahead and unmute, Richie. Where's Gideon at? There he is. I got you verified, Mr. Gideon.
Yeah, I was just saying that I'm very vocal when I disagree with him. I definitely make my and the funny thing is like I get hate from my MAGA friends who are like think he can do no wrong because I'll post when I think he's done the wrong thing. Which is like I said, like he's done a 180 on a lot of the things that he promised he would do. I don't agree with what he's doing with ICE right now. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he's doing, but I support the things that he does that he's followed through on. And this is going to get hate, but I'm happy that he's trying to bring Columbus Day back as an Italian American. I think it's an important holiday to celebrate our heritage because that was really the reason why it became a national holiday in the first place. It really didn't have as much to do with Columbus as a person as it did with making Italian Americans feel a part
I don't
of.
know. I don't know. I don't think that Columbus Day is celebrating Italian heritage. I think that it's celebrating conquest, genocide, and killing of indigenous Americans. You know, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I'm not like really a big fan of like celebrating. Like the individuals that were responsible for like such great atrocities. Like Columbus, like objectively was a bad man, right? He was a nightmare creep for like so many reasons. You should like really look into Columbus. Just objectively, like a total like terrible person. So it's like I don't know if we want to like take away, Columbus Day. I think that's completely acceptable. Also, I didn't know that he was Italian. I thought he was Spanish. Right. Plus, that seems like a pretty small like virtue signal. That just seems like
He,
it's virtue signaling like conservative like talking points compared to like actually doing anything beneficial for the future of this country.
you could make that argument, and I'm just going to say, as far as like the history of why they made it a federal holiday, it was because Italian Americans were hugely discriminated against. Like there was, the largest lynching in American history was against Italian Americans. They made that holiday to to try to help Italian Americans feel a part of the United States culture. Now, if you wanted to get rid of Columbus Day and give it to another Italian American, or to make it Italian American Heritage Day or something like that, I could be on board with that.
Wait, one second. I'm so sorry. So it's a myth that Columbus is Italian. That's not true.
He sailed for Spain, but he was born in an Italian colony.
No, according to let's see here,
I've seen all these. There's a lot of discrepancies.
according to DW. So apparently, like a group of Spanish scientists are claimed that he is a Sephardic Jew from Western Europe. So he's apparently, quote unquote, and that they have research to demonstrate that it's true. He was Spanish. And I thought that they also like sailed for Portugal. He didn't sail for Spain. I thought that he sailed for Portugal.
I don't think that's true. And even if he is Spanish, the point of the holiday was to give the Italian Americans something to celebrate. So, like I said, if they wanted to get rid of Columbus Day and
Right.
just give it, like, make it into Italian Heritage Day or something like that,
Yeah. So
I
I'm
just
just gonna be
don't.
honest, man. Do you have like any real reasons to support Trump as president, or should I move on to the next guest? Because I'm not gonna be honest. It doesn't really sound like you do.
That's all right, man. You could move on. I appreciate you having me on, though. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next guest. Hop inside of that queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Trump as president. We are just looking for MAGA. We're just looking for MAGA guys. We're gonna go to get that next guest, Charlie B, loaded up into the box right now. As well as let's see here, Daniel. Thank you so much for.
Hi, Dean.
Hey, what's up?
Can
Do
you say
support Trump?
hi, please, please, please?
Oh.
Just say hi, please, please.
Okay,
Just
you
say hi.
sound really young, so unfortunately I'm going to move on. Daniel, appreciate you for the $5 over on Venmo, as well as William. Thank you for the $25 over on Venmo as well. Let's get 250 William W's down below in that chat. William with the $25 says absolutely inspirational. You were thoughtful, informed, relentless. Okay, wow, really loud background noise. I do apologize, William, with the $25. I do really appreciate you for your love, as well as your incredibly kind message. Thank you, William. And then Kate, thank you so much for the, let's see here, $10 over on Venmo as well. Show some love to Kate down below in that chat. Kate with the $10 says, give me a moment here. At first, I thought it was dumb to be debating 18 through 20-year-olds, but then I sat with myself and I realized that this is how we change the course that we're on. It is. We need to be talking to everybody, you know? As well as Katya, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. Samuel with the $5 on PayPal, and Adrian with the $6. And then Daniel with the $5 says, I love you, but Columbus Day and St. Patty's have always been essentially just celebrations of Italians and Irish in America. I'm not like familiar with the background of it whatsoever. I just know that I'm not like a big fan of the man of Columbus. So if like there's background to the connotation of the celebration of like Columbus Day, for instance, I don't know it, and I'll admit that. But we're going to move on to the next guest, guys. Hop in that queue if you're an American adult that supports Trump as president. We'll get you loaded up in here. We're just looking for that next guest right now. And then also, Jacob, thank you so much for the 20 Australian dollars on Super Chat. Jacob says, hey, as an Australian, I'm sad since World War I. Australia and the U.S. have stood mostly together in science, battle, and politics. The U.S. has drifted from the ideals of democracy and is advocating for all its people. Keep up the good fight. Yeah, man. Australia has been making some great strides recently, especially in recognizing Palestinian statehood. I think that's great. I really wish that the U.S. would follow. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much, man. Are you MAGA?
I did vote for him.
Do you still support him today?
It's 50-50.
50-50. So knowing everything that you do today, if you were teleported back in time to November, who'd you vote for?
I think I would have been neutral on that side. I think when I saw a lot of the, Kamala's debates and everything she was going with,
Wait, could I just have an answer to the question? Who'd you vote for?
I would have been neutral. I don't think I would have voted.
All right. Unfortunately, we are just looking for people like affirm that they would have voted for Trump. We're going to move on to the next guest right now, guys. Go to put a me with your age down below in that comment section if you are MAGA and you do want to come up here and debate. As well as R. Thank you so much for the $20 donation on PayPal. R says, instead of an anxiety pin, get yourself a devil's lettuce pin. You're going insane, but you're doing great work. Thank you, R. I will say, I actually don't like the devil's lettuce too much. It just has bad effects on me, but thank you for the $20, R. As well as Don, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Don says, I think you are brilliant. Don't stop doing what you do. You cook so hard on your abortion debate. Thank you so much, Don. And Sophie, thank you for the $10 as well over on Venmo, saying Columbus and his settlers forced, I don't know why I can't read the rest of your message. I'll go ahead and try to pull that up on the computer. In the meantime, what is up, Ann? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
How's it going?
It's going all right. I just wanted to finish out reading Sophie's message real quick with the $10. Sophie says, Columbus and his settlers forced women and young girls into sexual slavery. He wrote that girls aged, quote unquote, 9 to 10 are now in demand, noting the high prices they commanded. I didn't even know that. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. It doesn't surprise me at all. And wait, I had you up like the other week, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you did.
And why are you back?
I like debating you, Dean.
But last time we sat down, I feel like we didn't get anywhere because you just like defended anything and everything that Donald Trump does with like no ideological like goals of your own, right? All that you care about is being pro-Trump. You don't care about, right, like standing by any moral principles.
I think we both know that's emphatically incorrect. I said specifically that conservatives, while they may not agree with with Trump, the person, they do like the values that he's bringing back to America, conservative values, and what that means.
But like we went over those conservative values. Like the first one that you brought up was like the Constitution. And then I went over how like Donald Trump has launched an attack on the First, Second, 14th, and 22nd Amendment. And then you were kind of like, well, I don't really care. He like still values the Constitution.
That's not true.
I want to ask you a question. Like yesterday, he literally
I have
said
more reasons.
yesterday, like he literally said that like he's taking our free speech away. He said that.
I have more reasons for you.
But do you still defend the proposition that he's reinstituting a value of the American Constitution, considering that yesterday he literally said that he's taking our free speech away?
I don't remember. Okay, so please prove that, because I don't think that's true, and prove it by not taking it out of context. Like actually,
the only context I just want to like clarify. I just want to clarify the only context that would like change the sentiment of his statement would be if he followed it up by saying that he's kidding, right? Because like any context to the statement, we took freedom of speech away, right? Would be like apart from the fact, oh haha, I'm joking, right? Wouldn't like make it any better. But let's go and listen to it together.
1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts. This is what they do, is they incite. When you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence. We have many examples of it, many examples of it, and it's actually down on tape, and you see things happen that just don't happen unless it's the flag that's burning.
Did he say we took freedom of speech away? That was his quote. Did he say that anywhere in that clip?
Right. So for context,
I think he did.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you agree with protesters burning the American flag during high times of civil unrest?
I agree with a ruling from SCOTUS that burning the American flag is constitutionally protected. So I mean, I think if it's like done like safely, like sure. Like
So during high amounts of civil unrest, even though what you said is true, do you think that there are certain actions citizens can take that may escalate that civil unrest?
Yeah, like for instance, like speaking the truth.
Like burning the flag?
Well, I mean, burning the flag in of itself could escalate civil unrest, as just like showing up to a protest to begin with could escalate civil unrest. So do you think that it'd be okay for the Trump administration to like ban people from protesting altogether, since protests escalate civil unrest?
No.
Oh, okay. So you actually don't think it's okay for Donald Trump to infringe on the Constitution in an attempt to ban things that we have a constitutional right to engage in, even if those things can aid and abet in the escalation of civil unrest, which would include protesting to begin with, and in some circumstances, I'm sure, burning the flag.
Correct. I do not agree with any president, not just Donald Trump, any president that would infringe on the Constitution.
Okay.
But
do you concede that he's not like pro-Constitution?
No.
So then what do you call Executive Order number 14160?
Is that the executive order that we're talking about now?
No, it's a completely different one that I think is just much more clear.
Okay, we can talk about that one. That's
the one that that's the one that tried to violate the 14th and take birthright citizenship from the children of undocumented immigrants. There's like clearly a violation of the Constitution.
Again. That was returned back to the courts.
Right, because it was unconstitutional, which exactly proves my point.
It is. We have checks and balances within this country.
Right, and even the
So
checks and
she
balances
somehow-
agree with me that his executive order was unconstitutional, which proves my point.
Okay, Abraham Lincoln was also considered unconstitutional, was unconstitutional, excuse me, when he, without due process, allowed certain Confederate soldiers to be arrested without due process.
We
There are
actually,
plenty of
we,
examples of
wait,
that
the due process came under the 14th Amendment. Well, the 14th Amendment was
There was
ratified in
still-
1865, marking the end of the Civil War. So, like, actually, at the
It's
time
not-
when
no,
these
no, no.
when these like Confederate soldiers were like arrested, I don't even know if due process existed.
Due process absolutely did exist within the United
But it was like codified in the 14th Amendment, which was the end of the Civil War with its ratification in 1865. So it's like, I don't even know if we like technically had constitutional due process before then.
It was still considered. It was still considered a standard to have at least hearings whenever you throw someone into prison.
Right, I'm sure.
That was done in.
So are you saying that both Trump and Abraham Lincoln are unconstitutional, conceding your
No.
original argument that
Well,
Donald Trump is pro-constitution?
Well, what I'm saying is, to some degree, depending on the time and depending on who's in Congress, it is very easy to label someone unconstitutional or the president
When they belligerently and intentionally violate the Constitution, like Trump did, right?
right, like putting people into prison without any hearings during time of war. Another example, there are plenty of presidents that have done that.
Well,
violated.
actually, including Trump. But so I just want to clarify. What do you think?
I'm just letting you know that it's not. He's not.
I have a question. I actually want to ask you this question. What do you think makes Donald Trump pro-Constitution?
Because he's a conservative.
But like, what about labeling himself as a conservative makes him pro-Constitution?
Conservatives believe in the preservation of the Constitution, of law and order.
Wait, could you please give me one clear example of Donald Trump attempting to preserve the Constitution? The same way I could give you clear examples of him attempting to overthrow it, such as how he did with sparking the insurrection at the Capitol on J 6th, then launching his fake electorate plot to coup and rig the election, such as in December of 2022 when he just said he wanted to terminate the Constitution, including all of its rules, regulations, and articles, or the violations in which we've already gone over, including the 1st, 2nd, 14th, and 22nd Amendment. Can you please give me a handful of clear examples of Donald Trump fighting to preserve the Constitution?
One way I think he did was passing the executive order. I can't remember the number at the top of my head, but he passed the executive order that supported a Schmex-based gender and affirmed women are women based off of their Schmex. That in and of itself allowed women to maintain being a protected class.
Okay, so, I mean, first and foremost, are you arguing that before Donald Trump passed that executive order, women weren't a quote-unquote protected class? What do you mean? What were the
During the Biden-
what were the constitutional implications of his executive order, which, by the way, classified everyone as a female?
That isn't what that did.
It did actually. No,
Biden-
if you read the clear text, it said that you are either a male or a female predicated on the size of your sex characteristics at the moment of conception, but it's only at 6 to 7 weeks with the activation or lack thereof of the S or Y gene that males become distinguished from females. So, technically it did.
Sorry, I keep muting to be respectful. The Biden administration clearly made gender identity based off of gender expression. It was the Trump administration that clarified that confusion. To me, that clarification absolutely protects women's constitutional rights and access to certain things in education, versus when I would say that that's one example. By clarifying
can you justify? Can you give me a couple instances of the abuse of women's constitutional rights and protections prior to Donald Trump's executive order that were stopped by Donald Trump's executive order? Just so I could understand your position.
I would argue that one example. Yeah, I'd argue one example was Title IX. In Title IX, there's different resources that are given to schools, and if they receive any federal dollars, there's certain how do I say this? According to Title IX, there's certain ways they're allowed to treat the different sexes on campus. One of the ways in which the Biden administration made it very difficult for women who accused other boys on campus for, let's say, rape. They didn't have any hearings. A lot of times, these processes were incredibly bureaucratic. Women were not being heard on campus when they were SA'd. And Title IX very much, well, at least if you use a strict reading of the law, Title IX explicitly states that there should be hearings, there should be, there's a whole bunch of stuff that should be part of the process. The Biden administration also.
Wait, no, we're gonna start on that first point. First of all, Title IX is not the Constitution, so the point's just dead in the water. Title IX.
So no. But Title IX.
Title IX is a federal law passed in 1972. So, like, just the point as a whole should just be completely dead in the water. Because I asked you for examples of, like, infringements on women's constitutional rights. Title IX is federal law, right? So, already dead in the water. But then even if it's not dead in the water, which it is, because I asked you for an example of Donald Trump protecting the Constitution and you can't give it to me, I don't even really understand the point that you just tried to make. I wasn't tracking at all. Title IX, it just prohibits sex and gender-based discrimination, which is something we should agree with, right?
Yes.
All right. So I don't really think anyone understands the point that you're making. How do you feel about Donald Trump's sex and gender-based discrimination?
What do you mean?
He boasted about, like, sexually exploiting naked teen girls and naked grown women. How do you feel about that? Nothing?
Okay, hi, sorry.
How do you feel about that? Like, when he went on Howard Stern's radio show and, like, openly boasted about sexually exploiting, like, naked teen girls, naked women?
Again. I think
if you care about, like, women's rights here and you want to, like, keep, like, men, quote unquote, out of women's spaces, how do you feel about, right, the man that you support as president boasting about sexually exploiting naked girls and naked women in their private spaces?
I think when you're talking to Howard Stern, you go on to Howard Stern intentionally to say provocative things.
Okay, so he went on there to intentionally like share facts about the things that he's done that might be provocative?
No. What I'm saying is what he said was distasteful, sure. But I would argue that was an environment that was intentionally made for that type of lewd talk. Just like in this conversation, you and I are having a political conversation.
Whoa! I'm going to interject here. Okay, even if that's right, even if like the Howard Stern radio show is just an environment,
it doesn't change.
No. Listen to what I have to say. Even if you're right, and even if like the Howard Stern radio show isn't an environment created for like predators to talk about how they're predators, I don't think that this makes predators talking about how they're predators like any like less wrong. Like for instance, like like on the dark web, I'm sure that there's about a billion like online web forums where like predators will get together and like talk to one another. Now, if like the FBI were to conduct like an investigation into these dark web forums and like identify like the different predators like exchanging like private information detailing like their guilt for engaging like sexual related crimes, like I hope that your gut reaction wouldn't be, well, we actually shouldn't charge any of these people with their sexual related crimes because they were sharing that information in a space that they felt comfortable to share it in. Like that kind of just makes no goddamn sense and makes you sound really sympathetic to like child exploitation.
Right. And to be clear, no, I wouldn't agree with that. Right. That is something that is a clear lapse in moral character. I'm not, and I was trying to say, I am not condoning that type of lewd talk.
Well, it's not just lewd talk. It's an admittance of sexual exploitation of children. Why are you like trying to use like sanitized like phrase and words to like trivialize like these actions? It's not just lewd talk. It's an admittance of child sex exploitation.
Have you, are we talking about this imaginary scenario, or are we talking about Donald Trump on Howard Stern?
We're talking about Donald Trump and Howard Stern.
Right. So if you want to play I can play the clip, actually. If it's
How
worth,
about I just play it for you?
or you can do that too. We can do it together.
Dude, where's
But
Gideon? I wonder if Gideon is still in here. I wish that maybe Gideon could join up and, flame you as well. Let's go
he's
ahead and type in.
not. That's a bit racist, don't you think? A white tea man saying he wants to flame a black woman. You see how identity politics? You see what that does?
Well, I mean, I actually said I wish that like Gideon could be in here to like flame you too. But no, I don't think that there's anything racist about what I said.
But no, it is right. I
What?
could. You see exactly. Just like how you just said that comment, and someone could take that out of context and say, wow, look at this white tea man with all the racism in the United States telling a black woman he wants to flame her. Couldn't you also see that someone could take what you just said and use it as an opportunity to, as evidence of your racism?
Do you
In a similar sense,
Do you notice that in like a
there are
crowd of
people who take what.
Do you notice in a crowd of like over 20,000 people, the only person that attempted to do that was you?
I'm sorry. I don't think I speak for Anne Shirley, not for the 25.
Well, I'm just like saying, like you're trying to say, oh, like, oh, Dean, the left is so crazy. They're going to take your words out of context and try to paint you to be racist. The only person that tried to do that was you.
And what I'm saying is, there are people who can take what you said and misinterpret what you said and use that as evidence of racism and take it out of context, just like how I just did. I intentionally did that to present an example of how people use Donald Trump's speech.
Okay, I'm going to go and play Donald Trump speaking. Give us the correct, adequate interpretation of what he says.
I want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that. You're a guy who likes to have everything, right?
Well, couldn't that be construed, however, as
Conflict?
yes?
I don't see it as a conflict.
It could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything
a
is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Yeah, you're at a fork in the road. I'm going to go and tell you what that fork is. That fork symbolizes if you are like human or like anti-human, pro-humanity or anti-humanity. That's the way I like to think about this. Because on one hand, you could side with humanity. You could recognize that in that clip, Donald Trump admitted to the sexual exploitation of women and girls. You can condemn that action and recognize him for the predator he told you he was and is today. Or you could attempt to engage in some type of like low-level sophistry, be sympathetic to the sexual exploitation of women and girls, use like sanitized words to refer to this as quote unquote lewd, and kind of ignore 90% of the words that he said there. So, in all curiosity, Annie, my question is, well, what is your response to that clip?
My response is there's a third option, and the third option is he was, in my opinion, not talking about the exploitation of girls and children. He was referring to his experience as Donald Trump and how women treat him and the kind of power that comes with it. I did not hear anything about a rejection, an intentional desire to exploit women.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so I just heard you say you were going to flame me. Does that mean you're going to come burn me? No, right? So arguably, it is very clear that when you
Was
take
he being metaphorical?
May I finish my sentence?
No. Sorry. Was he being metaphorical when he said that he would walk backstage into a woman's only space where there were no men around and there'd be like naked teens and women in that space with no clothes on?
There aren't naked teenagers there.
So we had a 17-year-old testify to the fact that her, as well as 3 other individuals, with the youngest among them being 15, had this occur to them at Miss Teen USA. Not to mention that even if it just happened to women, well, it just simply shifts from the sexual exploitation of teens and women to just the sexual exploitation of women. Is that really the hill you're going to die on?
Define sexual exploitation.
For sure. I think it's going to be the abuse of a position of power or authority over the position like vulnerability of another individual for sexual purposes or gratification. And I'd say, like in this sense, Donald Trump would be abusing his position of authority as the owner of the pageant to walk backstage into the women's only spaces, and then in turn to abuse the vulnerability of the women and girls in that space that were naked because it was a changing room by looking at them while they had no clothes on.
Anyway, like I said initially, his personality and who he is as a person, as a character, as a civilian, I do not care about.
Okay, so do you now agree that he sexually exploited at least women?
I am not here to say that.
Okay.
I told.
I'm sorry. If you're not here to like come to terms with the hard truths, then leave.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if you're not going to debate me, if you're just going to like play this
I
game
said
where you want to
I
stay
am.
like in your fucking safe zone of like
Okay.
not coming to terms with the truth and being a spineless coward and run away from it when it's presented to you with all the evidence and information you need to know that it's true, and like you just literally say, I'm not here to say that, right? I'm not here to debate that. Hit the road.
You didn't have to call me spineless to make your point. More name calling is unnecessary.
It's true. I'm sorry. It's true.
Literally said I do not condone that type of conversation. I find it lewd personally. I told you that. To go back and forth and try to insinuate anything more than that does not actually get to the real policy stuff that I think this conversation is.
Listen, it is rude, right, to call somebody a spineless coward, but it doesn't mean that it's not true.
It is true. No. It can be true or not true based off of your subjective perspective, but it's name calling. You don't know me or what I've done, and I actually think it takes a lot of courage to come up here to talk.
I wish that you hold the same attitude towards the sexual exploitation of children.
I do, obviously.
No, you were very like transparently more pissed off with me calling you a coward than you are with Donald Trump saying he would exploit teens and women.
That's not what he said.
Explain that one to me. Explain that one to me. So he admitted to walking backstage. He admitted to going into the women's only space where there's no men around. And then he admitted doing this under the guise of an inspection. And then he admitted looking at them when they had no clothes on and how great they looked. And then he admitted that he got away with this. And obviously he knows that means that he knows that it's wrong, right? Explain to me how that is not sexual exploitation, assuming whatever definition of sexual exploitation that you want, given that you can define it for us.
Okay, so I don't condone that.
That wasn't an answer to my question. I don't condone that was not your explanation insofar as how what I described Donald Trump did and how what Donald Trump described Donald Trump did is not sexual exploitation. Okay, while you're looking up that, I'm going to go and thank a couple people. Rocky Mountain Woman, thank you so much for the 50 Canadian dollars over on Super Chat. Let's get 500 big W's for Rocky Mountain Woman down below in that chat. As well as R, thank you so much for the $10 on Super Chat saying live seen an interview. Stephen Miller said Trump had the plenary authority regarding his plan to deploy the National Guard troops. What are your thoughts on this? I think he slipped the fuck up and he had an earpiece in and somebody told him to shut the hell up because then he started acting like he was glitching out. Fuck Stephen Miller. He's a goddamn fascist. I hate that guy so much. As well as Nicole. Oh my God. Nicole, thank you so much for the $100 over on PayPal. Nicole, that is so incredibly kind of you. Nicole with $100 says, I wonder if men that were quote unquote raped and were forced to not do anything would feel the same. Nicole, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I understand. I'm not sure if I understand your question. If you want to word it in a different way, feel free to.
She's asking you if real victims of SA would agree that this is a form of SA.
Oh, okay. Well, the answer to that question would be yes. But thank you for the $100, Nicole. That is incredibly kind of you. As well as Terry, thank you for the $5. James with the $5. The Little Dog Shop, thank you for the $5 as well as I appreciate everyone so much for all the very kind messages that you attached. Tamara, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Tamara says, Dean, do you ever get tired of cooking? Right now I'm a little bit tired of it, man. I'm tired of this same sick conversation about like this specific clip. You know what I mean? It irks me to my soul hearing like terrible people defend the sexual exploitation of women and girls. It is like one of the things that makes me the most upset and one of the topics that comes up on this live stream that makes like a moral distinction like so incredibly like clear between like me and whoever I'm debating. As well as Anya, thank you for the $15 as well over on Venmo. 14 minutes ago, Anya says a federal judge appointed by Trump in Oregon also found Donald Trump violated the 10th Amendment and infringed on the rights of the states by trying to deploy the state's National Guard. You know what, Anya? I'm familiar with the ruling, but I didn't think about the constitutional repercussions of that. So I appreciate you for informing me. As well as Avery, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. Jaden with a 10. And hey, Chelsea, this came in 24 minutes ago at this point, but thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo, saying thank you for speaking the truth about Columbus. There's so many better Italians to be celebrating than somebody who might not actually be Italian and committed to horrible atrocities against the native people. It is shameful that we celebrate him at all in this country. Well, Chelsea, I really appreciate you for the $50. Let's get 500 big Chelsea W's down below in that chat. And then one more here. Barbara, thank you for the $25 on Super Chat, saying that she doesn't like name calling, but she supports Trump name calling every single day. I don't even think spineless is a good enough, is enough. Thank you so much for the love, Barbara. Okay, yeah, go ahead and take it away. Thank you so much for the $25, Barbara. You are fantastic.
Again, to be clear, Howard Stern is a shock jockey. This was his whole thing. This is the whole point. When you go onto Howard Stern, you should expect that he's going to intentionally provoke and say certain things in a sexualized context. Donald Trump saying what he said was lewd, and I don't agree with that behavior. I think real sexual exploitation of girls and women is how Title IX.
Did you just say real sexual exploitation of girls and women? You sick person. Oh my god. Yeah, is perving on them while they're naked in a dressing room not enough for you? Is that not real sexual exploitation? You fucking weirdo. You fucking ultra mega weirdo. What the hell are you saying? You should be embarrassed. Have some shame for saying this shit in front of over 20,000 people. Feel some goddamn shame for saying such disgusting shit, dude. Okay, if we as a society cannot come together in unity and agree on the basis that perving on naked 9-year-old girls is sexual exploitation, then we are fucked. Then we are like, oh, I'm sorry. They were 15, 16, and 17 compared to 9. I guess age really changes everything for unconsensually looking at the naked body of a teenager.
So how do you know that was the event? How do you know what he was talking about on Howard Stern was the the teen pageant? How do you know?
Okay, well, first and foremost, by asking this question, you'd be suggesting that if he did this to adults.
How do you know what that was?
Can I answer your question? Don't worry, I'm going to get around to it. So first and foremost, by asking this question, you're making the implicit assumption that if it didn't happen to children, but rather happened to adults, and it wouldn't be sexual exploitation, and you are wrong. Although women can consent to being viewed while naked, these women didn't consent to Trump, okay? Still sexual exploitation. Thank you so much, because it's still unconsensual. Now, the reason that I possess to know that this happened to girls as well is because of the testimony of the girls that competed at Miss Teen USA saying this happened to them. Easy.
So they're there. They're at a beauty pageant that is absolutely hyper fixated on their physical appearance, and also they have consented to be looked at, objectified. Literally, they're competing against one another on the basis of their sex-based attractiveness. That is why they are there. They have consented to compete against other women based off of their physical attractiveness, and he is the owner of said pageant. Arguably, they are aware of the fact that there will be people literally judging them schmexually. Like, that's the point. I don't know. And
they're aware of the fact that they're going to have people judging them based upon their physical appearance on stage, you fucking silly goose, not in their dressing rooms. Like, holy fuck. No. Like, let me give you an analogy. No, 1 second. Let me give you an analogy to the stupid shit you're saying. Oh, so when I worked at Wendy's when I was 16, right, I was consenting to serving chicken nuggets, burgers, and fries to customers. I was consenting to having people walk up to me at the counter so I could take their order, put it into the machine, and take their money. Therefore, if while I was on shift, I went to take a piss in the bathroom, and some customer came up to me, looked at my penis, and then asked me for a Big Mac, that would have been just fine. Do you see how insane you sound?
No, that's you sound insane. Not only is that a major conflation, that's kind of weird that
It's not a
that would
conflation at
be
all. You are the one that is
you
saying that,
you're
well,
the one
because they
who's saying that.
consented to being judged based upon their physical appearance on stage during the beauty pageant event, that therefore prior to the beauty pageant event, off space, specifically in a
No,
woman's only space where
no.
they were getting ready for the beauty pageant event, it was okay for Donald Trump to go back there, perv on them unconsensually when they were naked, including kids, you sick freak.
First of all, please stop insulting me. Second of all, he
First of
clearly.
all, no.
Okay.
Sorry, but
Okay.
whine,
Well, you don't.
cry, I don't
Okay.
know. Cope.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. But I want to be very clear. I am not saying the behavior of being creepy towards girls is okay. What I'm saying is they signed up for a beauty pageant where they're going to be sexually objectified
Where
and
they're
compete
going to be
against.
with
And he's
okay,
the hold
with
on, hold on,
clothes
hold
on.
on, hold
They're gonna be
on.
judged
Okay,
with clothes on, right? Are they
um,
consenting to being judged with clothes on or with clothes off?
and as the owner of the pageant,
Answer my
he has
question. Did they
every
consent to
right.
be judged based upon their physical look with clothes on or with clothes off? Which one?
I don't know.
Come on, are you seriously that dumb? You don't know if
There is
like teens and
they
women at beauty
consented to
pageants
being
are
sexually
consented to being
objectified.
judged with clothes on or clothes off?
There are there
Also,
are
are you suggesting that
definitely.
teens can even consent to being sexually objectified?
Are you trying to have a conversation, or do you just want to project your anger?
No, answer that question. Are you implying here, are you arguing that literal teenagers can consent to being sexually objectified while naked?
No, no, that's very disingenuous.
Okay,
I am
is that
saying
not what you've been
that.
arguing this whole
Well, no,
time?
no, no. What I'm saying is, if I walk into your house, if I walk in, actually, yeah, let's say I own your house and you're inside my house as a renter. I have every right to walk onto my property and examine the property. It's my house. I have the right to do that. In a
Okay,
similar sense,
you're actually wrong.
Donald Trump owns the pageant. He was the only reason why he was allowed back there is because he's the owner of the pageant. That's it. It's not considered creepy, lewd behavior or child exploitation when you're literally walking around and, like he said, inspecting.
Okay, so your first point, saying that if you owned a property and you rented it out, you would have any and all rights to like go into that property whenever you want to examine it. No, you actually don't. Like renters have rights in America. Your landlord isn't allowed to walk into your property unannounced. I think in most states they have to give you like a couple hours heads up. So you were wrong. But second point, you made the statement that because Donald Trump actually owned the building, that therefore he had the right to go wherever he wanted in that building to inspect, including the women's dressing rooms, right?
Not necessarily. What I'm saying is, as the owner, he's allowed. He wasn't. He was allowed back there, and it wasn't considered
Because he like
being.
owned the building.
No, because of the pageant. The pageant. He owns the pageant
Okay,
that
so
they're in.
so he owns the pageant, he owns the building, therefore he could like go wherever he wants in the pageant in the building, right?
Not. No. What I'm
Okay, well,
saying
what are you
is,
saying? Be
this
clear.
is what this, you're insinuating that he is a creepy child.
No. I'm not asking what I'm
And I'm
insinuating. I'm
not
asking you what
saying
you
that.
just
I'm
said. Are you
saying
saying that because he owned the pageant, he owned the building, that therefore he could go wherever he wanted in the pageant?
yes, to an extent.
Okay, what's that extent?
Um, there could be, if I was in the bathroom, he wouldn't have a right to just walk into the bathroom while I'm using it.
Okay, so it's not okay for him to look at you while you're naked if you're actively pissing, but if it's okay for him to look at you while you're naked when you're not actively pissing? Explain that.
I think he was clearly stating that before the show starts, he goes backstage. Backstage is where women are getting ready to go on stage. This is an active pageant. He is the only person who's allowed back there when women are getting ready because he owns the pageant.
Okay, so you're saying that he is
Understand?
allowed because he owns a pageant. Okay, so if I own a business and at this business I have like women as employees and like one of these women were like using the bathroom inside of the business, would I have every right to go into the bathroom while they're using it to look at them because I own the business, I own the bathroom, and they're my
No,
employee?
no.
Okay, so do you see how like your logic just falls apart there in like less than a
No,
sentence?
because I don't know if you've ever done a
Oh
pageant
boy.
before. I don't know if you've ever done a pageant before, but a pageant and the back where the backstage where girls get ready is not like a bathroom. There are plenty of. It's very
So
chaotic. There's plenty of people
specifically where
there.
they get ready and they have no clothes on would be the dressing room,
You're
the
not
dressing
walking
area.
around. Okay, but it's a big area where you have girls, their managers, and everyone in between that's helping them prepare for the show.
But every person in that space is a woman because they're naked.
Okay, again, like I am saying, and I think it's actually gross. I'm going to be clear. I'm going to be very honest with you. There are examples of real SA and child SA, and to conflate this as that actually does a disservice to those who've experienced real predatory behavior.
Okay, yeah, well, the only individual that's doing the disservice towards victims...
Just so you can have your gotcha, like,
the only individual here that's doing disservice to victims is you.
Disrespecting actual victims.
You are saying that it's not real predatory behavior for a 65-year-old man to look at the naked body of a 13-year-old.
I think it's more predatory to intentionally change the language of Title IX and allow
yeah, it's more predatory. It's more predatory. It's more predatory for trans people to exist than it is for a 65-year-old man to intentionally walk into a space where there's naked minor girls to look at their naked bodies.
Yeah, if we're talking about infringement on women's spaces, that's one. If we're talking about infringement on women's spaces, yeah, that's one.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's such an infringement on women's spaces for trans people to exist, but it's not an infringement on women's spaces, and it's not predatory in the slightest. Can you shut the hell up? Can you shut the hell up while I'm speaking?
Not if you're going to be disrespectful.
Oh, God. I think that disrespect is probably the last of your concerns right now. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, the shit that you're saying is so insane. I'd be surprised if, like, you had a long-term survivable career as a creator on this platform after this shit. I mean, you said, and I quote explicitly, it is not real predatory behavior for a 65-year-old man to look at the naked body of a 15-year-old girl. You sick
I never
freak.
said that.
That is exactly what Donald Trump said he did, and which you then said was not real predatory behavior.
I never said that.
So wait, if I'm wrong about what Donald Trump did, what did he do? What did he do? He told us that he walked backstage, no men around, looked at the women and girls when they had no clothes on. How the hell else am I supposed to interpret those statements from concluding that there was a 65-year-old man that intentionally walked into a woman and girls only space to look at them while they're naked? How the hell am I supposed to interpret his words to imply anything but exactly that? Exactly. There is no other way. Thank you.
No. There is another way. I'm just curious if I'm waiting for you to finish. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
So are you, by the way. You're fucking done. You're so done.
I don't think that's accurate. I don't think it's accurate at all to conflate what that is and what real PDF files do. Yeah, I don't think it's the same.
So how else am I supposed to interpret what he said there? Could you please tell me?
I think with the contextual words that he provided. If you want to play the clip again, you should.
Oh, happily.
He very much
was just judge women.
Now that may be the best idea of all.
It's a simple thing. It's a half hour, and we strip it out all over the country.
I would say I'm the all-time judge.
You own this pageant. You go over. You're meeting the girls and stuff. One of them comes up to you and says, "Mr. Trump, you're a very sexy man.
You're a beautiful man. You have fantastic hair.
Well, you're a powerful man, right? Right? You're a powerful man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you." Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that. You're a guy who likes to have everything, right?
Well, couldn't that be construed, however, as
conflict?
Yes.
Well, I don't see it as a conflict.
It could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
So when he says I sort of get away with things like that, what he's talking about is how, because of his status, he is not treated the same as other people. He is. Again, they were talking about judging women's bodies. These are women who signed up to literally be judged on the basis of their bodies. It is not the same as a child who doesn't have the capacity to consent. What we're talking about are women who are choosing to be judged on their bodies. We are also, I don't know if you can hear it, but he's talking about certain things in jest. right? He's talking about how women throw themselves at him. This is lewd conversation on a show called Howard Stern, where they intentionally try to get shock value statements. And I would argue that what he is talking about is he's allowed to go backstage, unlike other people, because he's the owner of the pageant. He did not say, I intentionally tried to take advantage of women. Like, he didn't say anything other than he's allowed access to other places.
Ashley, thank you for the $10 on Venmo, saying, as a real victim of SA, fuck this guest as much as possible. We don't gatekeep sexual abuse. She is disgusting. Thank you. Angelique with $5 on Venmo. Even doctors who will inspect your entire naked body give you the decency to leave the room so you could change into the gown. This girl is crazy for defending Trump. Thank you. Sarah with the $10. As somebody who is essayed in a place I was supposed to be safe, this guest is disgusting to say that he had the right to do that. I'm sorry that happened to you, and thank you for the $10. Andrew with a $5. If you go through a private pool and wear a bathing suit, you can assume the owner will walk through the locker room while you're changing. Is that what she's saying? Really good point. Thank you, Andrew. Aaron with a $5. I appreciate you so much for the love. Stefan with a $5 on Venmo says, this woman defending SA is one of the most disgusting humans I've heard on your stream. More power to you. Thank you for the $5. Emily with the $5 as well. Thank you so much. Emily says, it makes me sad as a woman of color, seeing a woman of color so deep into the MAGA misinformation that they support white men actively working against them. MAGA men cling to them like catnip to justify their sexist, racist policies. Gabrielle, thank you for the $2. Maze, thank you for the $1. Tylee, I really appreciate you so much for the $10 over on Venmo as well. Shelby with the $5 says, please, quote unquote, please stop insulting me as I try to justify sexually exploiting minors, you meanie. I'm laughing because you're fucking right. That is insane. That's what's happening. Sandra, thank you so much for the $10. Ray, thank you for the $10 as well. Ray says, is she basically saying that they were asking for it? You know, that is kind of what she sounds to be saying. I mean, let's just dissect what Annie's words here on this subject. She's saying that while the women and girls, they wanted to be there, and they wanted to be judged based upon their physical appearance on stage by a panel while they're clothes, therefore, because they wanted to be judged based upon their physical appearance, consensually on stage with clothes on by a panel of judges, that therefore they were asking for Donald Trump to unconsensually look at them while they're undressed with no clothes on. I would also like to thank Angeline. Thank you for the $20 over on Venmo around 15 minutes ago. Thank you for the love, Angeline. Katie with a 10. And then Dara, thank you so much for the $25 as well. Thank you, Dara. And then Sierra with a $10 saying, Chef Dean Cook, thank you so much for the love. I'd also like to thank Nicole. Thank you for the $25 over on PayPal. Show some love to Nicole. Nicole says, seriously, as a black woman, this woman is so embarrassing. All caps. Then thank you with 3 U's at the end of thank you for doing what you do. Well, Nicole, I really appreciate you so much for the $25. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you for your kindness. As well as Vesna, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love, Vesna. Vesna with a $50 says, she's saying women are quote unquote asking for it by being contestants without saying it. She's absolutely deplorable. Well, Vesna, I really appreciate you so much for the $50. That is incredibly kind of you. I would also like to thank Sweet. Dude, thank you for the $80 over on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love. Sweet. Let's get 800 sweet W's down below in that chat. Sweet with the $80 says, I'm a small business owner. By the use of my business, a man came in with a gun, zip ties, and raped me. Oh my God. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Jesus Christ. They go on to say, all she is doing is victim blaming. Thank you for standing up for me in all women's rights.
Again, I think, and I want to say clearly, women who've experienced SA, I'm not condoning it. Earlier in this live, I said very clearly, I do not condone that type of lewd talk or behavior. But is there a legal distinction between what is SA, what is coercion, what is rape, what is schmeck trafficking? Yes. Is there a morally just or culturally appropriate behavior? Also, yes. But that does not mean the other. Something can be culturally wrong and you could legally not be a rapist, a child predator. And when you try to conflate the two, you erase that distinction, which I think is dangerous.
You know, I think it's interesting that you'll in one instance say that one form of speech makes one culpable of crimes in the instance of protesting or burning the flag, as you've said earlier, but not as it relates to a person defending CSA and otherwise. But my question to you here, Anne, and Forgive me, I don't believe you've had the pleasure of speaking.
Nice
I'm
to meet
Jaden.
you.
I had the question for you, which is, how exactly can a reasonable person decipher whether or not these are the words of an actual rapist or groomer or what have you? Because you're saying that it undermines the validity of actual cases like that. How can one reasonably make that distinction, that this is not an actual person that does these things given the rate at which he says them?
First, one major distinction is understanding the context. So, for example, when you listen to certain artists and they're talking about unaliving certain people or robbing people or lots of violent things, you would understand that when Eminem says, I hate my mom and I want to kill her, that is just expression, right? So the context of it matters. I do not assume Eminem is now a murderer, right?
I, however, will add on here, if Eminem's mom popped up one day dead and they found out that Eminem owned the gun that killed her, and then we listened back to his song where he says, I hate my mom, I want to kill her, that statement becomes incredibly clear, very similar to how we're listening to Donald Trump say that he would do this to women and girls at beauty pageants. Meanwhile, he owns beauty pageants. Meanwhile, the women and girls said that he did this to them.
Correct.
And has sexual assault against his name.
Right. Or like another really good example, David. This rapper named David.
That's a great example.
Exactly. There you go. You already know.
No, go ahead.
All right, so
Wait, go ahead.
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
you said
ahead.
that's a great example, so you're already familiar with it.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying that context. You're saying that context in this regard matters, okay? And I think you may have.
Well, I didn't finish answering, right? I would say,
Okay.
right, yes, sure, context is part of it, but then also what was the actual material harm in terms of was there a breakage? Was there trafficking happening? Was there coercion? Was there proof? Like there has to be actual evidence of this thing happening.
Okay, well, the evidence
Right,
is the fact
so-
that he admitted
What
to
we
doing it on
heard-
a radio show.
Based off of what we heard was Donald Trump goes backstage and judges women's bodies.
You fucking idiot! I want to.
I mean, if you want to reduce it down to that, then you can make anybody sound innocent, but that's not the case. And it is also not exclusive. It is not exclusive rhetoric and behavior that he has for teenage girls.
Can he go to jail for that? Can he
Just
go to
one
jail?
second. Now, he was found civilly liable, but just a second here. This is not rhetoric that only surrounds the teenage girls that he looks after. It's also teenage boys. I'll play you a clip from about 2012.
Have you heard about all these teachers having sex with their students? Is this not crazy? What is going on?
Well, I don't think the male students have been hurt by it. In fact, they're going around bragging about it, as I understand it. So, it's I don't see a lot of damage done.
Fair enough.
But it's a very unusual situation. I would say her husband cannot be happy.
Oh, you are bad.
So, given that bit of context there, he was asked a question about CSA in schools and said, I don't believe the students have been hurt by it. In fact, they're bragging about it. Is that not in and of itself undermining the validity of their cases as well?
I didn't even know that clip existed.
Well, yeah.
I think what he is saying is because they are boys, and what he's really talking about is the way in which boys are hypersexualized. He's saying when
He's doing it.
But what he's saying is when boys experience rape, it can't really be great because they're boys and they might like it, right?
That's not what he said.
He
said, well, I don't think the male students have been hurt by it.
Okay.
Yes, right.
Yeah, even
so,
if... Oh,
so
sorry.
that would any reasonable person could infer that when a young boy, in this context, he means it, that boys who have schmex with their teachers enjoy it.
Well, boys don't have sex with their teachers, but that's great.
Why are you saying these things?
My point, though, is that when...
No. Stop talking. Shut your mouth.
Okay.
Can you like internalize any of the words that are coming out of your mouth for a second? Like shut your mouth. I'm being serious. I think that I want to be an optimist. I want to assume that humans, right, want to fight for the collective good together. But I'm now being presented with a circumstance where I'm not sure if that's true. Okay? And I want to see if maybe you just don't even understand what you're saying. I'm going to go ahead and like repeat it to you. You're telling me that when a young boy is raped by an older woman, that it's not actually rape because the young boy liked it. Let's think about all of the issues.
No, I'm
with
not
that
saying
statement.
that. I'm saying that's what Donald Trump is saying.
So why would he say that?
Stop conflating the two. I've already specifically told you, Dean, there are things as an individual of this person I do not agree with. His personality, there are certain things I do not agree with.
But certain things should be indefensible.
That is what Donald Trump is saying, and me breaking it down doesn't mean and the
You're
individual.
breaking down all right. Listen, I don't know if you possess some sixth sense. I don't know if you possess some sixth sense that you can somehow decipher the goddamn disgusting rhetoric coming out of this guy's mouth, but I'll read it to you again. Well, I don't think the male students have been hurt by it. In fact, they're going around bragging about it, as I understand it. So, I don't see a lot of damage done. That's the thing. You don't see the damage that's done. There's a great deal of damage that is done for boys who are raped by older women, including myself. I'm a victim of CSA, okay? A similar set of circumstances happened. You don't see these things on the surface. And for Donald Trump to make a joke out of this, and he's smiling and laughing during this clip. You can't see it, but he is laughing. Okay, this ultimately what it does is weakens the severity of rape and normalizes this kind of behavior. So I again ask, how is one reasonable person to distinguish what he is saying versus what you believe is an actual legitimate rapist and groomer?
So to be clear, I was able to infer, based off of what he said, that because the victims of rape are male, they probably wanted it. They liked it. They do not take it as seriously. That was my inference from that.
Okay.
Then why didn't he start by saying, I think it's a bad thing?
Because he doesn't think it's a bad thing. He doesn't think it's a bad thing.
Why would you
right. Mind you, he doesn't know any of these boys.
Wait, why
he's
would you
never spoken to these boys. He's concluded that they enjoyed it.
So do you still?
Well, he's
so
saying because
real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and cut everyone
Donald
off real
Trump is
quick.
not the only person who thinks that young boys having sex with their teachers is not really great when it is.
Do you still support and defend Trump as president, even though you just said that you think he doesn't think that raping young boys is wrong?
I've already said this in 1,000 different ways. There are things that
Try 1,001.
Okay, first and foremost, that is rape, right? And I do think young boys can be raped. I would hate for my son to experience that. So when people like Donald Trump, because it's not just Donald Trump, it's the teachers, it's everyone within our culture that normalizes this type of behavior. Boys can't be raped because there's an assumption that boys are hypersexual. Donald Trump and a lot of people in society who think on those terms, I morally disagree with them on a fundamental level.
Right. So you disagree with Trump because this statement normalizes CSA against minor boys.
I disagree with the idea that young boys cannot be raped because they're boys.
Trump doesn't agree with that. Trump does not agree with that statement. He says, I don't think the male students have been hurt by this. So I don't see a lot of damage done.
To be clear, the reason why I support Trump is not because of his personality or the
What
identity.
if this was a girl in this case? Well, I don't see any girl students hurt by this. In fact, I don't see a lot of damage done. They probably liked it. You may speak.
Like I said, with the male example, I would also say that's gross on a moral level.
Why won't you say it's indefensible?
Because that's how I talk.
Do you agree that it's indefensible?
Why?
Obviously,
okay.
Children.
If it was obvious, you would have said that.
So now that you
I've
agree
said
that
it
it's
1,000
indefensible.
times.
No, you didn't.
So now that you agree that
you
it's
wanted me to say it 1,001 times.
here's where we're at.
1,002.
So here's where we're at.
There are certain things that I do not agree with.
I'm going to take the mic real quick. Here's where we're at. We're at a point where we've now come to the conclusion that you agree Donald Trump thinks that young boys can't be raped, and you agree that's indefensible. Okay? You also agree that Donald Trump would walk backstage and look at the naked bodies of women and girls unconsensually, but yet you defend that and you say that they were asking for it by being a beauty contestant pageant to begin with, and you think it's fine. Considering these facts, how can you still support him as president?
again, it is Donald Trump is not responsible for the minimization of male essay. He
Yes,
is
he is.
not.
Nobody said that. He's contributed to it.
I'm answering the
Yes,
question.
he's actually in part responsible for the
so-
contribution towards the minimization
Okay.
of essay towards young boys. Absolutely.
He is not the reason.
No
right?
single person is the reason. This is
Correct.
This is a straw man
I'm
of an
really
argument.
sorry. I thought you were asking me to answer.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, no single person would be the reason. This is a straw man of an argument that once again is just
Correct.
attempting to minimize the harm
Okay, all right. So
perpetuated
you
by
don't want
Donald
me to
Trump's statement.
So, if I may finish, it is a cultural norm to normalize that, and it's dysfunctional, and it's incorrect, and it's problematic. What he said on Howard Stern, the fact that Howard Stern even has a show, is morally gross and disgusting. I do think that there are certain, if you don't
It's
want
just funny because Biden was on the Howard Stern show and didn't say gross things about his daughter's ass, but okay.
But he did pardon his addicted
That's
son.
not the same. What, is that a sex crime?
Well, it's not a
Oh, yes?
What
are you even saying at this point?
So it's a sex crime for Biden to pardon Hunter Biden for criminal offenses related to drug use, but it's not a sex crime for Donald Trump to sexually exploit by young girls by unconsensually looking at their naked bodies in a space only for women and girls. You are delusional. Can we like?
You see how low you have to
Delusional.
stoop to like conflate those things that aren't even remotely comparable?
So delusional. Unbelievably
it's
delusional.
exploitation for a president to use his power to pardon his son.
How's that
especially
exploitative?
Because do you not believe? Do you think it's appropriate for a sitting president to use his executive power to personally benefit his children?
You said it was
Because-
exploitation. How is it exploitation?
It's exploitation and it's abuse of his power and influence. Arguably, if President Biden did not have that,
How is it an abuse? It's his power. I wouldn't say that's an abuse of power. It's his power to do that.
it is his power to do that.
How's it
It's
abusive? How's it exploitative?
It's exploitation because he's using his status and the powers that come with it as an
Gotcha.
opportunity.
But it's not exploitative when a manager of Miss Teen USA is entering in children's spaces and looking at their naked bodies. That's not exploitation. That's not a gross misuse of power.
The president
But a
doesn't
pardon
own the
is
United States. The
a
president
pardon,
doesn't own
a constitutional authority is gross to you.
Yeah, I think it's gross to pardon your drug-addicted, prostitute-buying son from the consequences of his actions just because you're president. As the president, you are the president for everyone.
First of all, let's not fucking stigmatize addicts here, okay? Hunter Biden has been several years clean. That's number one. Secondly, he wasn't charged with prostitution or whatever the hell else you're talking about.
Okay.
He had a drug crime. He had a drug charge. Excuse me. He had a gun charge, and he had a tax charge. Okay,
Right.
that's I think a reasonable thing for you to pardon.
Right, and by the way, I will absolutely take the pardon of somebody for a non-violent criminal offense that was likely only prosecuted because he was the son of Biden, compared to Donald Trump pardoning 72 individuals that were convicted of violent crimes, including attempted murder on police officers at the Capitol on January 6th. Oh, and by the way, after Biden pardoned Hunter Biden, right, he didn't then parade his son as a patriot the same way that Donald Trump paraded the 72 violent offenders that tried to kill cops on January 6th that he let out of jail as patriots. I think that there's a big difference here. See, it's funny because regardless of what argument you try to run, ultimately Donald Trump has done worse. And the cognitive
Including
dissonance-
prostitution.
Yes, including prostitution. And the cognitive dissonance that it takes for you to stand 10 toes down on these silly little convictions, right? When Donald Trump has done 10 times worse in every single conceivable circumstance is insane.
Would you find it worth impeachment if Donald Trump used his presidential powers to pardon his son in the same exact way?
No.
That'd
You
be-
have the right to pardon people.
That'd be like
You don't think that's
the least bad thing Donald Trump has done in the last 8 months.
Really? So you wouldn't think it's an abuse of his presidential powers to pardon his son, but it is an abuse of power for him to walk
Can you
around.
explain what abuse of power is at hand when Biden did that?
Right, like even like when I'm like
It's called
describing,
okay.
even like when I'm
If
describing like Donald Trump's
if
pardon of the J6 rioters, I never call it an abuse of power because he's
Right.
full within his constitutional executive authority to
Yeah.
pardon
It's
those
wrong.
people. Right.
It's not an abuse.
Right. It's not an abuse of his power. It's just wrong for like many other reasons.
okay, it's an abuse of. Okay, let me back.
What statute is he violating in doing that?
Yes,
I know
like
law
said-
is your strong suit.
Like I said, he absolutely has the power to do this. That's the beauty of the president.
Okay, so it's not an abuse.
But it's an abuse of his power when he's using it for nefarious intentions.
It's not nefarious. I'd say politically charging a president's son is nefarious, as Trump is doing right now with Letitia James, with James Comey, with just about everybody associated with the Biden family and investigating and targeting them. You don't see that as politically motivated targeting, but when Biden does that to protect them from that, you take issue with it.
Right. It's like it's like actually like definitionally speaking, what Donald Trump is doing right now with like James Comey and Letitia James is an abuse of power. Because remember when he posted that like what was supposed to be a private DM to his AG Pam Bondi on Truth Social, like telling her to like create special counsels to prosecute these people. Do you understand that like special counsels are supposed to be like independent from the presidency, independent from like any like type of partisan DOJ, and are supposed to operate on their own? And like it came out that he was like specifically requesting for a partisan dependent special counsel to be created by the AG to like answer to his beckoning call by prosecuting his political opponents. That is like definitionally speaking an abuse of power. Right. I'm going to go thank a couple people. Witch Woman, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love, as well as Casual Cow. Thank you for the $10 as well. Casual Cow with the $10 says, stop dodging the question or trying to pivot away. Your whole argument was to minimize what Trump said by saying it is normal for others so you can maintain your cultist mindset at the expense of victims. You know what, Cow? You fucking cooked. That's why I'm reading these off, because you guys are fucking cooking today. Holy shit. Nia, I appreciate you so much for the $10 over on Super Chat. I'm not going to read that one out because we know what happened last time. If you know, you know, but I appreciate you for the $10. As well as Zach, thank you so much for the $20 over on Super Chat. I appreciate you for the love. Zach with the $20 says, this lady is so gross, will literally defend anything he's done and says. Absolute lunatic. Hey man, super duper bass. Appreciate you for the $20. Couldn't agree with you more. Let's see who else here. Marilyn, thank you so much for the $50 over on Super Chat. Let's get 500 Marilyn W's down below in that comment section. Marilyn didn't attach any message, just the love. Thank you so much. Nike with the 10 Canadian dollars says, I swear to fuck, if that is a woman defending Trump tooth and nail for that, I'm so happy my niece we need in America. I'm so happy for my niece we need in America during those times. There's probably some type of like typo at the end of the sentence. Unfortunately, I can't like reword it to understand what like the original sentence was supposed to mean, but thank you for the love, Nike. As well as Feisty, thank you for the $10 over on Super Chat saying, as a survivor, she's harming us. Yeah, absolutely anybody that would like perpetuate like the minimization and normalization of like Donald Trump's actions and her rhetoric in this sense absolutely would. And I mean, she's just standing 10 toes down on it. Thank you so much, Chloe, for the $10 over on PayPal. I really appreciate you so much for the love. Nicole, thank you for the $5 on PayPal. Xander with a 5. Danessa with a 3. Anna, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal saying, I left for 20 minutes. I come back and she's still defending sexual exploitation. She's crazy. Thank you for the $10, Anna. As well as Heidi, thank you so much for the $10 over on PayPal as well. Heidi says, as somebody who has been watched without my consent, it is absolutely sexual exploitation, and this girl needs to get pushed. I'm really sorry that happened to you, but you are absolutely right. It is sexual exploitation. Absolutely. As well as Dana, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal. Let's get 500 Dana W's. That is D-A-N-A. Thank you so much for the love, Dana. That is seriously so incredibly kind of you. As well as Alexandria, thank you for the 5. R, thank you for the 10. Beth with a 5. And then Dylan with the $10, just to tell her that she's a horrible human being, and I feel bad for her friends and family or anyone that she's ever known or interacted with. Well, I appreciate you for the $10. Sam, thank you for the $16. Sam with the $16 says, hey, Dean, I was here last week when she was trying to justify racist stereotypes about violence. The way that she jumps through hoops to justify Donald Trump's vile actions and speech just proves how disgusting of a person she is. Oh, that's right. Yeah, last week she was literally like trying to argue that black people are inherently violent.
I recall.
Yeah, that one was crazy. I forgot about that until now. Kinsey, thank you so much for the $25 over on PayPal. Kinsey says, my employer SA'd me in March of 2024. I'm really sorry to hear that, Kinsey. Kinsey says, I go to trial in January. I'm in agony. Nobody understands. Kinsey, listen, although like, I just want it to be known that like, we are all standing by your side and by the side of every other victim watching this live. You know what I mean? It's like the loudest voice that you hear right now is hers because she's talking to us on the live. But there is damn well over 25,000 people in the stream right now that we can all univocally like condemn like the terrible things that she's saying. As well as John, thank you so much for the $10 over on PayPal. Samantha, thank you for the $10. I really appreciate everyone so much for the love. As well as Eric, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Eric. Show some love to Eric. Sabrina with a $15 saying, as somebody who's been essayed, this is really hurtful. I hope that she wakes up and does better. Yeah, honestly, man, like I'm kind of ready to like end the conversation with you, Annie. Like I'm not gonna lie, you know, like I want to be able to like prove you wrong in debate and demonstrate why nobody else should agree with you. But like, it's kind of getting to a point now where it's just like, this is just making like thousands of people so uncomfortable and hurting so many victims. I don't even know if it's like worthwhile continuing this conversation. I'd also like to thank, not done. Ayusha, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. As well as Jade with the $15. Thank you so much, Jade. And with the 5, Addie with the 5, Lauren with the 5, and Sarah with the 5. Thank you so much. You guys are so incredibly kind. I would also like to thank Kimberly 18 minutes ago with the $20 over on Venmo. Kimberly says, people like this are the reason I was afraid to say anything as a 7-year-old who was essayed for 3 years straight. I only came forward after he did it to somebody else years later. Kimberly, I'm so fucking sorry to hear that happened to you, man. Jesus Christ, dude. Thank you for the $20.
May I say
I
something?
appreciate you for being here. Actually, nope, you can't. Not yet. Aaron, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. Jamie with the $10 as well. Courtney with the $10 saying, as a victim of CSA, we never diminish somebody else's CSA experience over one others. All childhood and adult predators are equally wrong, disgusting. Hopefully that's something we should all be able to agree to. Rachel, thank you for the $10. Color, thank you for the $10 as well. Brooklyn with a 10. Andrew with a 10. Lori with a 10. Let's see here. Wow, man. I'm just seeing an outpour of like support from you guys attaching statements about things that you've gone through and how like what this guest is saying is so incredibly harmful. I'm going to go ahead and read off a handful more. Kelly with the $20. Thank you so much for the love. Lauren with the $15 says, bored with a grape apologist. Can we move on? Yeah, we're going to be moving on here pretty soon. Emma with the $25 says, the mentality that this guest has is sick and frightening and a large part of why it took me so long to speak up when I was sexualized in public at 12. I consented to being in public, not to be followed and touched. Thank you for shutting that shit down. I'm going to say the same thing I said to the last handful of people, Emma. I'm really sorry that happened to you, and I appreciate you for attaching that message. Thank you for the $25, and thank you for sharing your story. Same thing goes for Kimberly. I appreciate you for the $25. Ashley with a 10, who says, as a real victim of SA, fuck this guest as much as possible. We don't gatekeep sexual abuse. She is disgusting. Thank you so much for the love. And once again, I'm really sorry that happened to you, and thank you for being here with us today. All right, Jaden, is there anything else that you'd like to add on?
Oh, yeah, real quick. Teresa, thank you. She says, thanks for joining Dean's Debates and for advocating for victims. It means a lot, of course. Thank you for the 25, Teresa. Samantha, thank you for the 20. You came in at such a good time. You guys are absolutely cooking this cult member. Not a racist kind of cooking, okay, Anne? Anna, thank you for the 10 for helping Dean cook. And Rachel, thank you for the 1 for, I'm not going to read that out loud. Crystal Courtney, thank you for the 10 for you and Dean, our power duo. Thank you for being a powerful voice in our community. And I don't believe that I did get an answer to my question earlier, which is how can a reasonable person distinguish someone who merely jokes about grape from a person who actually does it?
Someone who does it.
How can one distinguish that? Because we can't see when people do it oftentimes. So we can only go based on the inferences that they give, the hints that they create. So how would a reasonable person distinguish Donald Trump from a non-rapist, according to you?
You cannot infer a rapist, and for you to assume that is a potential only goes to degrade actual rape victims.
I think you can based on what they say and do.
Okay. So there are plenty of pastors who are considered morally upright people they are considered morally upright people within their community who would never give off the vibe that they would rape someone, and they absolutely are abusing children. So one thing I want you to consider is the only way you can determine someone is a rapist is if they actually rape someone.
Do you believe that you are the company you keep?
To an extent. Sometimes.
To an extent, including Donald Trump's own.
I don't think
Right.
you and I are the same exact, like, I respect you as a
No, but
human
I'm saying, are you
being.
not the company you keep? Because
Are
just
you,
the other day, just recently,
I don't,
Texas
I'm not
pastor
gonna
Robert Morris
agree.
was indicted on child sex crimes, including the fact that he was Donald Trump's own faith and spiritual advisor in the White House during his campaign. There was several people in association with Donald Trump. I think the guy's name was Lawrence. Also found up on several charges. I think it's a consistent trend that we see with Donald Trump and the people in his administration. I'm not even going to say the big E, that find themselves credibly accused and charged of CSA.
And I would argue that he would be, um, while that is correct, I would argue that
Lawrence Taylor.
because you cannot see who is going to be a rapist and who is not, because that is something that honestly is very pervasive. And the only way that you would know that person is a rapist is by the actions that they do. I would
Mm-hmm.
argue that you probably have a friend who has raped someone. You might have a buddy who knows someone who is actively raping and essaying. So what I'm saying is
Right,
it's
and
not,
that would be a failure on my
so what
part.
I'm
That
but
would be a
you
failure on my
are
part if I
my question is
continued.
my question
Just a
is
second.
how
It would be a failure on my
are you
part.
responsible for your friend's behavior?
I think in many ways you can be, but it would be a failure on
And
my part if
in
I,
this
just a
specific
second,
case,
just 1 second, it would be a failure on my part to not recognize the obvious signs and to defend them when it's
okay, what are the
apparent and to
obvious
appoint
signs?
them to position. The obvious signs are the
You
fact
don't
that
have
they
to
have
yell.
convictions.
Right.
Lawrence Taylor
So
was
that's
convicted of this.
you are using my example. I'm saying what are the
Right.
obvious
The
signs
signs are
that
that
when
these people have prior
don't please
convictions and
okay,
have still been given opportunity and voice
okay,
within this White House. That would
okay.
be an obvious flaw of me to continue to hang around these
So
people and defend them, knowing full well Brett Kavanaugh as well was credibly accused of this.
so
Okay, it would be such a slight on my character if that was a pattern of behavior, and these were the people that I find that I constantly coalesce myself around.
so Hunter Biden has a few convictions. Are you saying
Are
he's
they
going to be
grape?
a rapist?
What?
Exactly. So you are Jaden,
I
and
said
Jaden,
CSA. These
if
are
you
people charged with these
Jaden,
things.
please stop yelling at me.
I'm
May
not
I
yelling.
respond?
I know because I'm black and you
Okay.
hate yourself that it sounds like yelling,
First
but
of
it's
all,
not yelling.
that isn't what this is, and the fact that you're projecting that onto me says a lot
It's
about
not projecting
you
because I didn't say
more than
you
it
were
does about
yelling.
me.
I didn't
But
say you were yelling.
Jaden, please let me finish. When you say, how can we discern between who is and who is not a rapist? And I say the only way
There
we
was
can
more to that
tell,
question. Don't
do
leave the
not
rest out.
interrupt me.
I'm
Do
going to
not
interrupt
interrupt
because
me.
that's not what I said. There
All
was
right.
more to that
Okay.
question. How can you discern who is a rapist and who's not based on the
Correct.
rhetoric that is identical?
And what I am saying to you is the only way that you can discern is by the person who does the action. So are you telling me that if you had friends who joked
But
very
if you don't
lewdly,
know that they've done the action,
please, please, if you have friends who joke around wanting to grape people but never do it, you mean to tell me that's a rapist? Versus the guy or the teacher who abuses their position of power and then actually rapes the child. Like,
yeah. Here's what I'll say to that.
what
Here's
are
what I'll
the
say to
vibes?
that.
What hold on? What
You
are
asked
the?
me a question. Here's what I'll
No,
say
I'm
to that.
actually not.
Here's
I'm
what I'll
giving you
say to that.
context.
No, you're done.
The
Stop talking,
question
please.
is,
Listen,
the question is,
I can
how can you
absolutely infer
discern
that that
between
person.
who is
I
going to be
can
a rapist
absolutely
when
stop talking, please.
there are children who get raped by their teachers? What rhetoric were the teachers giving to give that
Right.
they would be rapists?
Right. Yeah, I can absolutely infer that based on
How?
credible accusations, based on the things that they say and joke about openly and privately, based on their own admission, based on their refusal to give up DNA because it could criminally or even civilly implicate them in a crime, based on the people that they constantly hang around and defend when people accuse them of such things, such as Lawrence Taylor, such as the megachurch pastor, his spiritual advisor. This creates a pattern of behavior that is so goddamn apparent, I'd hope that you take off the rose-tinted glasses to see it. Okay? All of these
Okay.
things in a vacuum show
So
somebody that either doesn't take grape seriously when it occurs around their inner circle or is capable of doing it themselves, which Trump is, because a judge ruled on that and a jury of his peers ruled that.
Okay, so do you believe that's true in general or just in the case of rape?
What?
That if someone jokes about certain things, they're probably doing that thing.
Was that all that I said?
No, I'm asking
Okay,
you,
there's more to that. I do
but do
think that
you
a
think that
person is
applies to,
absolutely, yes, I do think a person is more likely than not culpable of such things, or at least
okay,
doesn't believe it's as serious as it should be.
and so if they don't take it seriously, you think that they're capable of doing it.
Yes.
Okay,
Now you're
so
getting it.
Okay, so question, and this is for all the men who are hearing me now. Have you guys ever joked about
Guess we'll never know what her question is because I kicked her. We're going to go move on to the next guest. Go ahead and hop in that queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Trump. We'll get you pulled up here. I'm sorry. That conversation just went on like way too long.
That was nauseating.
Yeah, no, like, dude, oh my God, dude. You know what really gets me? What really gets me is just the fact that she's not just like the only person that thinks that way. That is like the silent majority of Trump supporters.
Yeah.
I bring up that clip to many Trump supporters on this live. I would say more often than not, they turn around and give a similar reaction to what she did. Okay, it is like engaging in a conversation about Donald Trump's sexual misconduct, about his rape case with E. Jean Carroll, about his sexual exploitation of the girls at Miss Teen USA, or even that clip that you brought up that I didn't even know about, where he said that, you know,
I'll send it to
rape
you.
against, please do, little boys isn't wrong because they like it or whatever the fuck. Like, I think that really it exposes where the lines like fall in this country. No conversation generates such insane, ludicrous, immoral, wacky outcomes than that conversation. And the fact that so many people in this country think very similar to the way that she does, and all you got to do to figure that out is to ask, is to criticize Trump for engaging in said sexual misconduct and then listen to their response. It's appalling. It's sickening, man. It's and above all, it is so genuinely upsetting. It is so genuinely upsetting. I do these debates for 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have for the last 2 years. And after doing them for so long, I've built up, a really good ability to not get upset when I'm talking to people about the craziest shit ever, right? And I need to be able to have that ability to have like good dialogue where I'm able to effectively prove them wrong using like reason and fact. That's what I need to do to be a good debater, right? But that conversation is one that I will never be able to like grow indifferent to, because that rhetoric, those beliefs are just so genuinely gross, upsetting, and insane. It just absolutely insane.
And it harkens back to 2016 when the Access Hollywood tape came out, and there were people that actually wore and sold shirts and hats that said, "Trump can grab me by my you-know-what." And I think that self-degradation, that minimizing of that trauma and that pain is so entrenched in Republicanism and Republican policies and beliefs that I don't know how exactly the women can respect themselves. Clearly they don't. But it's such a sad state of affairs that this has become normalized and that this is even debatable, that a person can't unequivocally say that a person who downplays CSA is wrong. It's an embarrassment.
Yeah, man. We're going to move on to the next guest, Nathan. Go out there, protest October 18th, No King's Day 2.0. If that last conversation doesn't incentivize you to get involved with your local community, to go out there and protest for the future of this country, for the sake of our children and the next generation, guys, I don't know what will. What's up, Nathan? Do you support Trump as president?
No.
No, you don't. Well, I appreciate you for popping up. I hope you have a good rest of your day. We're going to go to get that next guest up in here. Just please make sure that we're following the rules if you happen to be in that queue. Just make sure that you're an American adult that supports Trump as president. And we'll get you loaded up in here. We're going to go to get that next guest loaded in here right now. There's a handful of people that I would like to thank. First and foremost, let's see here. Yo, I'm going to call you M. M, thank you so much for the $100 super chat over on YouTube, dude. Show some love to M down below, you guys. M with a $100 super chat.
Fuck Jews, fuck women.
And Alex's band, M with a $100 super chat, says, a little something for you to keep in your lavender and caramel. You've certainly earned it after handling guests like these. Thank you for the good work that you do. I look forward to watching you continue to grow. M, thank you so much for the $100 super chat. I will be using that to get another anxiety pin when the time comes. I just got a new anxiety pin like 3 days ago, so it may be a couple weeks, but thank you so much for the love, M, as well as Witch Woman. Thank you for another $10, as well as I'm going to call you Flack. I believe that's your name. Thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat. Thank you so much for the love. And what is going on, Realtor? Do you support Trump?
So essentially, you can see.
Nope, they don't. I'd also like to thank Caitlin for the $20 on Super Chat.
Oh, no.
Show some love to Caitlin down below. Caitlin with the $20 says, so her logic about victims says that because I was essayed by my father, I was asking for it because he was my father. I'm sick. Hopefully she stops being brainwashed one day. Really sorry that happened.
Well, you
to
see, the
Caitlin.
dad owns the house, so
yeah.
according to her.
And thank you so much for the $20. Yeah, dude. I mean, there's so many like absolutely just terrible implications of what she was saying. Caitlin.
Right.
We're gonna get that next guest up in here. Go ahead and let me know down below in that chat if you're an American adult that supports Trump. We'll get you tuned into the live. And I'm also just going to go ahead and put this one out there.
Yo.
Oh, what's up? How old are you?
19.
19. What year were you born in?
06.
Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to go and thank just a couple more people, get caught up, and then I'll give you the mic. There's been a lot of people showing a lot of love, so I have a couple of people to thank. I just want you all to know that I'm incredibly appreciative for you. Courtney, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Another Courtney with the $8. Thank you. Jonathan, thank you so much for the $25. Jonathan says her son needs to be checked on. I can't finish that message, Jonathan. I shouldn't even have said that. Thank you for the $25, Jonathan. As well as Corey, thank you so much for the $7 over on Venmo. Thank you so much, Corey. As well as Juliana with a 1, Daisy with a 50 cents. Bonnie, thank you so much for the $5 as well on Venmo. Valerie with a 10, Juliana with a 10. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much. I'd also like to thank Katrina for the $25. Katrina says thank you for kicking her. Yeah, Katrina, we got her out of here. It was time to get her out. Thank you so much for the $25. As well as Laura with the $20. Laura with the $20 says the way that you waited until the perfect moment to kick the rape apologist just made my night. Cheers. Well, I appreciate you for the $20, Laura. As well as June, thank you for the 10. And Shane, thank you so much for the $40 over on PayPal. And hey, Shane, I'm going to go ahead and just keep that message to myself. I bet you could assume why, you know what I mean? But thank you for the $40, and I want you to know that I did read your message, and you could probably assume how I feel about it. Thank you for the $40, Shane. Emily, thank you so much for the $11 over on PayPal. Thank you, Emily. Jillian with a 5, Rachel with a 5, Dominic with a 2, and KB with a 5. And I think that we're all caught up. I do want to say, if I did miss, like any of the messages, because there's a couple that I didn't read out loud, just know that I read them to myself, and I really appreciate you so much for your kindness. But Evan, go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
By the way, I just want to say congratulations for your success. And so do you think that if Kamala Harris was president, do you think that a lot more how can I say this? A lot more Mexicans would be in this country? I mean, in USA.
If Kamala Harris was elected, do I wish that would there be more Mexicans in America?
Yeah. No. Do you think there would be more instead? Do you think she would let a lot more in, more than Trump has?
What about just let's not use the word Mexicans. Let's just use the word immigrants. Not all immigrants are Mexicans, and not all Mexicans are immigrants. I think that there'd be more like for instance, legal immigration into America because she supported the bipartisan border bill to hire more judges to expedite more legal claims of immigration.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to ask. Well, thank you so much for letting me up here, and congratulations for your success, man.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Evan. You have a good one. Okay. All right. Jaden, how you doing today, man?
Yeah. I'm doing well. I meant to say this yesterday when I was on, but an episode of Beavis and Butthead aired last night on Comedy Central. I was a voice on that one, so that was a lot of fun.
Dude, no way. That's sick. I got to say, yeah. I enjoyed our co-host yesterday. It's pretty nice just having a second mind to kind of bounce ideas, to bounce ideas off of in response to what the guests say. I will say there's many points in the stream where I'll honestly kind of get tired. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of nice to have.
I don't blame you.
So I appreciate
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the box right now. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
And how old are you?
I'm 23.
Cool. Let me go and thank one person here. Goda, thank you so much for the $25 on PayPal. Goda with a $25 says, hope you have an amazing day, Dean. Thank you, Goda. Let's go to get 250. Goda W's down below. It's good to see you again. You've been here for a while. Appreciate you. All the love to you, Goda. Go ahead and take it away, man. Tell us why you support Trump.
I support Trump basically because he's going to kill the niggers in the...
We got to ban them and move on here. Emily, thank you so much for the $5 on PayPal. I appreciate that. We got that next Trump supporter loaded up right now. Make sure if you're in that queue that you are an American adult that is pro-Trump, folks. We got the next guest loaded in right now. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Hello?
Hey, what's up? Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Hey, Lonnie.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. And how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay. What year were you born in?
2006.
Okay. Why do you support Trump?
Because I really think that the Democratic Party likes to shove their fingers up their ass.
It's so funny. Go away.
She's still in Ollie's flow, dude. She's still in Ollie's flow. Ollie came up on the live, said that, then like made a video out of it and got like 250K views. It's funnier the first time. It's not funny anymore. Okay, not funny anymore. Yo, Juan, thank you for the $20 on Super Chat. I appreciate you for your words, Juan. Thank you for the $20. But I think that you need to come over to the left, man. And if you're a Trump supporter, you should hop up on the live. But I appreciate you for your kind words. What's up? Do you support Trump?
How do I leave this?
I got you.
I'm a character.
I'll ban you. Moving on to the next guest. Holy shit, yo, Crystal! Dude, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal, Crystal. Holy shit. PayPal, Crystal. Holy shit.
Ooh. Hello?
Can you hear?
I banned him. He's driving. Moving on to the next guest. Crystal with the 50 big ones over on PayPal, dude. Show some love to Crystal in that chat. Says, thank you for the way that you use your voice to stand against fascism, racism, and hate online. As a mom of black and brown children, my heart swells with pride seeing somebody speak so powerfully and fearlessly for what's right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Crystal. As well as I see that you attached a little bit more to your message. I read that to myself. Crystal, thank you so much for your kind words. Seriously, you and everyone else, you guys have been so kind today. All the love in the world to you. Thank you so much, Crystal. What's going on, Sabrain? Do you support Trump?
Hey, what's going on, man? No, I'm an independent, but I had a really good question for you.
I'm sorry, man. We are just looking for like one last Trump supporter of the day. I'm probably gonna get off after this last conversation, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not actually like, not really like feeling too well after that last convo.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do one more debate and just get off for the night.
Should I go live? Is Parker going live? What's going on?
I think that Parker is getting back on. I don't know when. I could ask him.
Okay.
What's up? Do you support Trump, Zach?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
20.
And how long do you expect me to believe that for?
I'm born in 2000.
Come on, do the math.
Get out of here.
Dude, that's 20 years.
Get out of here. We're gonna go to.
I'm 35.
We're gonna go to get on to the next guest. No, good try though, bro. Good try though. What's up? Do you support Trump? Hello, Gabriella.
Oh no, I do not. Sorry.
No worries, dude. No worries. You know, so like I usually get kind of like upset or annoyed when it's like we got a bunch of people in the queue that aren't Trump supporters. But like right now I'm like actually kind of just enjoying it as like a cool down period because I feel like all of the guests today have just been so insane. You know what I mean?
No, you're lucky. Most of my lives. You're not funny.
What did you say, Jen?
I don't know. I have not been getting debates, so like I kind of have to hop in these kinds of streams, you know.
Yeah, man, dude. I think I told you this over on Discord, but it's like I need to have like 6K minimum people in the stream to even like try to find a debate.
Oh, I could only dream.
Yeah, dude. It's insane.
What's good?
Do you support
What's
Trump?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, what year were you born in?
Come on, this is an act.
2006.
I know voice acting when I hear it. Now stop
How
with the
am I
accent.
voice acting?
I could tell this isn't a real person. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, what are you here for?
Kicked him. Banned. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, folks. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up in right now. We got Sean connecting to the stream. Here we go, folks.
Yes, I do.
Who's that?
Apparently, that's how they sound. They think that's a real accent.
What's up? Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Age?
18, May 8th, 2007.
All right, buddy. Let me go and thank a couple people here. Mike, dude. Holy fuck, Mike. Mike, thank you so much for the $100 over on Venmo. Jesus Christ, dude. That is so incredibly generous. I do not deserve that. Thank you for the love, Mike. Mike with $100 says this is for doing that one thing one time. What the what does
You
that
got
mean?
mob ties?
Yeah, what does that mean, Mike? That's funny as fuck, Mike.
It's ominous.
You're a funny motherfucker. Yeah, let's show some love to Mike down below in the chat, not just for the $100, but for being funny as hell. Thank you for the $100, my friend. As well as Juliana, thank you for the $20 over at Venmo as well. Juliana says, please tell the chat that ICE in Boston the ICE is in Boston saw an agent on Sunday and recorded him. Yeah, man, ICE is everywhere, dude. It's fucking, it's so insane. I wouldn't doubt
struck
it
a
if
pastor on the head.
yeah, dude, I saw that. That's insane. I wouldn't doubt it if the National Guard would probably go into Boston soon. As well as Ann, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Go ahead and take it away, man. Tell us why you support Trump.
Mainly for abortion.
Okay, so do you think that abortion should be banned, legislated on by the state? Do you agree with exceptions? Do you not agree with exceptions? Where do you stand?
I would say I agree with exceptions, but besides because 95% I saw I forgot what source, I can grab it for you, but 95% is on not SA, incest, or life of the mother.
Right.
So
I think it's 95% is elective. You're right.
Yeah, so I just feel like that 95% is not justified.
Okay, so it's at 95%.
Do you support him because you want to reduce the rate of abortion?
I guess, yeah. Or I want to.
Hasn't happened.
I know, but I feel like him supporting him has a better chance of doing that than supporting.
Actually,
the rates have gone up.
Yeah, actually, no. So since Roe v. Wade was signed into law, for the last 32 years, we've had declining level of abortion in America every year. But since he overturned Roe v. Wade, it's actually started to go up. Maybe it's because it's made women think more about abortion, made access psychologically seem more scarce, right? Even if they're still in states where it's legal, thinking it could be illegal in the future, right? But whatever
people
the
doing
reason
it
is,
earlier,
right? Yeah, whatever the reason is, right? The number of abortions have gone up.
Okay, but I feel like he would still make a strive to ban it instead of making.
He can't.
Well, I mean, he obviously we have more abortion restrictions under his presidency. Right now, there's 66 million American women and girls in America that cannot elective abortion. So why do you agree with that? Why do you think that elective abortion should be banned?
Because I feel like the fetus or the baby in there is a human life, and I don't think it's justified ending a human life if you're just not being responsible for your actions.
Okay, so it reduces down to not being responsible for your actions, or does it reduce down to it being a human life? Which one?
I would say, I guess, then more of human life.
Okay, more of the human life. Okay, so do you think it's our species that makes us morally valuable?
I would say, yeah.
Okay. That's a really bad argument, dude. Well, I wouldn't say that, for instance, brain dead patients are morally valuable. It's not murder to kill them, even though they're members of our species and they're biologically alive. Same thing would go for human zygotes. Human zygotes, that's the first stage of human development. They're human and alive. Obviously, I wouldn't say that if you kill a zygote, you should go to jail for 25 to life. I don't think that's murder either. And I feel these examples and more easily dispute the notion that it's our species that makes us morally valuable.
Well, with the brain dead patient, I think you have to think about the quality of life. With the brain dead patient, there's no chance of coming back.
Okay, well now you're just shifting your argument to something that is not our species, meaning you don't think it's our species that makes us morally valuable. So if it's not our species that makes us morally valuable, then what is?
Okay, what do you mean?
I mean what I asked. So you just told me that you don't attribute moral value to the brain dead patient. You don't think it's murder to kill them, even though they're a member of our species because they won't have a future. So in turn, you're rather telling me it's not our species that makes us morally valuable, but rather the existence of a future.
I guess.
Okay, awesome.
The chance of life.
So are you JJ?
Yeah. JJ?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, well, you definitely are. See, I don't know who JJ is. But, you're definitely JJ based upon the way that you reacted. Chat, who's JJ?
I'm so serious.
He was here the other day or something, or a different live.
I'm so serious. I don't know who JJ is.
Okay. All right. Whatever. All right. So if it's the future that you find to be morally valuable, what about the future is morally valuable?
Just a chance to have a life, build their own life, and to live, I guess.
So live biologically speaking, or what do you mean by live?
I would say everybody deserves a chance yeah, life.
But what do you
to
mean by
live.
life there? Do you mean like literally like be biologically alive, or are you talking about life in the more philosophical sense of like being a
Philosophical
person?
sense.
Okay, well then what do
Being a
you mean by
person.
life?
Just I like yeah, you just said it, like the philosophical one.
Okay, could you
Like
expand
just
on that a little bit for me?
brother. Like just living throughout life, like experiencing things and
Experiencing. Okay, so subjective experiences. So you're saying that subjective experiences or consciousness equals right to life, and because the fetus will be conscious in the future, therefore you're going to extend the right to life to the fetus now.
yeah.
We never grant rights to people or things based upon things that they might be or might possess in the future. Like, for instance, being 21 equals right to buy alcohol. A 15-year-old will be 21 in the future. Does this mean that we should give the 15-year-old the right to buy alcohol now? Or do they actually have to be 21 first?
Well, that's just like completely different.
No, it's
Why is
using
it
that
different?
same foundation of identifying a trait that grants a right, then identifying an entity that will have that trait in the future, and seeing if we think that we should just give it the right now. Obviously, we would say that the 15-year-old should not get the right to buy alcohol now, even though they will be 21 in the future. They have to actually be 21 first before they get that right. Very similarly, I agree with you. It is consciousness, it is sentience that grants you the right to life, that makes you morally valuable. But I just think that the fetus actually has to be conscious, actually has to be sentient, actually has to have a mind before they get that right to life, which right now, according to neurodoctor studies, is most likely to emerge at around the 20 through 24 weeks point, with the thymocortical connections.
Okay,
Can I ask you, why does potential personhood take precedence over bodily autonomy?
Well, because in my opinion, I feel like the not talking about the exceptions. Like if you have a kid, like that was your choice to have that kid. Even if you use protections and all that stuff, I just feel like you assume risk every time.
I don't
And
think you're answering my question. So more specifically, why should non-sentient life take precedence over sentient life?
well, because at the end of the day, they're both human, and I believe
Okay,
both
but
of
one
them
is
have human rights.
non-sentient. I get that that's your premise, but I'm asking why should one hold more moral value over the pre-established sentience?
They have the same moral value.
You don't believe that.
Why not?
Because as it relates to a brain-dead person, you don't believe that they have the same moral value.
Because of the
So I'd
quality
say
of life. They
that
still have the same moral
capacity
value.
is equivalent to that of an unborn baby or fetus here, okay, that has no brain capacity, that has no sentience. I think they're at the same moral playing ground here.
Yeah, well, I would say all of them have the same moral value. It's just the quality of life. Like that's
What quality of life does a fetus have that's akin to a born person?
Eventually they're going to grow into a human.
Right,
Like,
which is the question, why should something that happens eventually take precedence over something happening now?
Because it's a human, it has human DNA.
This is a little circular. You got anything else, Dean?
Well, I mean, yeah, what I'll just say here is now you're appealing to the species of the fetus and arguing that it is morally valuable and has the right to life. But I thought that we already disputed that notion and had you agree that it is not our species that makes us morally valuable when you agreed that a brain dead patient isn't morally valuable, even though a brain dead patient is a human with human DNA.
Okay.
Right? So,
Sure.
So Jaden is right. You are running a circular argument, but like the foundation of your circular argument, that being granting moral value to the fetus predicated on its species, right, is totally contradictory, right, as you do not apply the same principle to brain dead patients, meaning that you are not only internally contradicting your own position, but your special plane as it would relate to the fetus. You just have like a cornucopia of like a logical mess here with your position.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
Okay. Chat. I said that was going to be my last guest of the night. Should I do one more?
I think you should. And in fact, I'm going to add them up right now.
Okay. All
right. Absolutely. Isn't this a tremendous time, Dean? Don't you? Do you miss me? Okay. I'm going to send the National Guard straight to Colorado. It's going to be tremendous, won't it?
Dude, okay, actually, good point. So, like, before the election, he was always talking about the Venezuelan gang members in Aurora. But, like, after the election, like, what happened to that?
Hello, Mr. Dean. Hello, Mr. Dean. Hello.
Yeah.
What the hell?
what the fuck?
Can you shit in my face, please?
Whoa, dude!
Absolutely.
Whoa.
I absolutely do.
Whoa, dude.
I do that with all my supporters. They eat lots of shit. But listen, we're doing a tremendous job, Dean. I don't even know what you're talking about, the whole migrants that I blamed in Aurora. It's not really relevant. But we're doing a tremendous job, and you can't even say thank you. You don't even wear a suit when you do this. You're just like stinky, and it's horrible what you're doing, frankly.
Stinky. I'm surprised
It's true.
I'm surprised he actually hasn't called him that.
I'm surprised too.
Don't give him any.
It's kind of surprising.
Don't give him any ideas. Okay. All right, chat. We are looking for our very last Trump supporter of the evening. So if that's you, if you're a Trump supporter, go ahead and hop in that queue. We're going to get you loaded up. I'm going to be honest with you guys, though. I'm like pretty tired and worn out of it. So this is definitely going to be the last. This is going to be the last guess. Emily, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for that, love. Emily with the $20 says, I'm a nurse and I work in oncology. As an RN, healthcare is completely fucked right now, and a lot of my patients are potentially losing their accessibility to cancer care, all because of the Orange Man. Keep spreading valid and evidence-backed info to the uneducated public. Listen, Emily, I really appreciate you for the work that you do on the ground. My sister works on an ER, so I know how, like, oh, sorry, Jaden, hop back in that queue. I tried to kick a guest that's like loading in and I accidentally kicked you. Yeah, I tried to kick Emily. Hop back in that queue, Jaden. So I just appreciate you for the work that you do, Emily. Thank you so much. It was another Emily. There's an Emily trying to join the live and, of course, the Emily with a $20 donation. Please show some love to Emily over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love.
So nasty.
I'm so nasty, quite frankly. As well as Bree. Thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you, Bree. As well as, let's see here if we have anybody else over on PayPal. We do. Let's see here. Mark, thank you so much for the $17.87 over on PayPal, saying, great stream tonight, Dean. Thank you. The soundboard these streams give are valued. Have a good one. I appreciate you for that love, Mark. Oh, yeah, the stream today was a little bit nuts. Okay. Looking for our last guest. Christopher, thank you so much for the $15 on PayPal, saying, can I claim a frozen embryo on my tax return? Yes, guess what? They got to be consistent. You should be able to. Thank you for the $15. Yeah, why won't they be consistent? They should totally be able to claim a frozen embryo.
And child support should start then, too.
Right. So real. What's up? Do you support Trump?
All right.
Okay, we're going to give it like...
Apparently Anne is live right now, relitigating our conversation.
Well, we're just not even going to talk about her. Oh, well. We're going to move on to the next guest. We got Colt. We're going to go ahead and try to get like maybe 3 last people up here for the night, guys. We're going to try like 3 more times to get someone up here. If like I can't find a Trump supporter in the next 3 guests, then I am just going to go to an end. What's up? Do you support Trump, Colt?
Yes, I do.
Age, please?
18.
Okay, can you unmuffle your mic?
Sorry, is it muffled?
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty muffled, yeah.
Sorry, I'll talk a little. Do you want me to? Can I just talk louder? Is that good?
Yeah, whatever. Okay. What year were you born in?
2006.
Actually, is there like a phone case
you're
that you could
18?
take off?
Yeah, I can take off the phone case.
And then what month of 06 were you born in?
Hold on, I'm taking it off. Okay, good.
Well, whatever. What month of 06 were you born in?
I was born in December.
Okay. All right. Tell us why you support Trump.
I support his border policies. I think his border policies are better than Kamala, and I feel like sometimes Kamala says things really out of context, and sometimes she doesn't make sense.
Is that like muffle like too much for anyone watching? I don't know.
It was a little bit.
Yeah, that was.
Sorry, I'm not.
Okay. I'm like really like trying to give you a chance here, but.
Okay, I'll try to. Is this good? Can I talk? Is that better?
Yeah, that is better.
Are you on Bluetooth?
Okay, I'll talk right here.
Yeah. Do you have like any Bluetooth device that you're talking to us through?
No, I'm talking straight through my iPhone.
Okay.
I swear to you, I'm not.
All right.
iPhone 6. All right.
So what so what immigration policies of Trump's are you a fan of?
I just like that he closes the border. With Kamala, you don't know who's going to cross that border. It could be someone illegal, it could be someone that's committed crimes. No, but what I'm saying is you don't know if it's going to be, it could be anyone, really. And then they come to our country and they commit a dangerous crime and you never know who that's going to be. So that's why I personally support Trump.
Question? So what policies have passed to close the border?
Well, Dean, I'm not like exactly like sure what policies he passed, but I just generally like, and I've agreed with like the people that said that I just like his policies that they close borders.
Okay. Here's what I'll say to you, Mr. Colt. I think that you have like a wild misconception of Donald Trump's immigration policy that's likely driven from propaganda in the media. He hasn't really passed any policy to quote unquote close the borders, right? I'd say the reason why we see such a significant reduction in the amount of undocumented immigrants coming into this country is because immigrants, regardless if they're legal or not, immigrate into America because they expect to have a higher quality of life. I think right now Donald Trump is promising them a lower quality of life by violating both the human and constitutional rights of the undocumented immigrants that are already in this country, and including but not limited to his illegal deportation of Abrigo Garcia to a torture prison for terrorists in El Salvador, his illegal detainment of Mahmoud Khalil for 3 months, even though Mahmoud Khalil was a legal green card holder, his illegal deportation of Venezuelan immigrants without due process to that same torture prison for terrorists in El Salvador, or his declaration of war on American cities, and his illegal directive to the National Guard to start arresting people.
Okay, so Dean, I understand what you're saying, but I just like one question. Do you really think it's fair? So like under Kamala, you know how those borders were open, right?
No.
Do you really think? Okay, can you let me talk, Jaden?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
You asked a question, but yeah.
Do you really think it's fair that anyone, like of any background, can come in, like, to just come in and they can commit a crime? Like you're saying that not all immigrants are illegals, but you know crossing the border is illegal, so technically they are illegal right when they cross.
Okay, well, I actually just went over how Donald Trump's immigration policy has contained human and constitutional rights violations on behest of undocumented immigrants. You're kind of putting words into my mouth here, my friend. Like, why can't you respond to the argument that I gave you?
Oh, no.
Also, nobody said everyone should be able to cross and commit crimes. That is a straw man.
Okay, but also, can I say one thing, Dean? I'm not like very familiar with all the policy and stuff, right? I know you're better than me at that because you do this as like your living. But what I'm, you kind of understand what I'm trying to say to you.
I think I understand that you're telling us that you think Donald Trump is really good for closed borders, and I just described how you're wrong by telling you that he hasn't passed any policy to close the borders, and the reason why we see a reduction in undocumented entry is because he's playing fascist.
That's a little harsh. Also, I want to say,
can you respond to that argument?
Some bad things, but I think what Kamala says too.
Yeah.
What did you say again?
Dude,
we're gonna pivot.
Dude, oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Jesus Christ. Okay, well now he's like laggy and muffled and not responding to the counter argument. This may be a little bit too much. I'm gonna try one last time though. Okay. This is going to be the last time.
My internet's bad. This
is going to be the last time I repeat the argument. You told us you support Trump because you think he's closed the borders, locked them down, quite frankly. And then I responded to that by saying, actually, Colt, can you name any of the policy that he's implemented to lock them down? You're like, actually, Dean, I can't. And then I was like, well, that's because he hasn't implemented any policy to shut them down. And then I said, well, the reason why we see a massive reduction in undocumented border entry, even though he hasn't implemented any good policy to stop it, is because he is disincentivizing it by violating both the human and constitutional rights of the undocumented immigrants that are in the country. I gave you specific examples related to his declaration of war on this country, his illegal removal to CICOT of Abrigo Garcia, Venezuelan immigrants, his illegal detainment of like legal immigrants.
At the end of the day, Trump is still the president,
right? And how like this is like
nobody's arguing that.
No, but like you can like make the base, but at the end of the day, Trump's still your president. So
do you know what? I'm going to teach you a new term here today. Okay, Cole. It's called a thought terminating fallacy. That has no bearings on what we're talking about here. All right. It's like if I said that my house is on fire, I need my landlord to do something, and my fucking neighbor said, "Well, they're still your landlord." Does that address the fire? No, it doesn't. If you can address the substance of the argument, we can continue. But him being president is not particularly relevant here.
Right, and then
we know he's president. That's what we're debating.
And then you just said at the end of the day, Trump is still your president. Yeah, and it fucking embarrasses the shit out of me. It also embarrasses the shit out of me that it doesn't embarrass the shit out of you. Oh, at the end of the day, this felon rapist is our president. Come on.
Hello?
Oh, well, I think the little piss boy got mad and left.
Oh no!
Oh no! Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Trump is still your president was like the rage quit. Listen, Julianne, thank you for the $20 over on Super Chat. Julianne with the $20 says I had to leave. The crazy lady was triggering me. As you know, I support you and I love that you have these hard conversations. Keep up the fight. Glad when I got back she was gone. Yeah, man, you were not the only one, Julianne. She was triggering me too, and like so many people watching. I appreciate you for the $20. I would also like to thank here Jacob. Thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. Katie, thank you for the 10. Jacinta with the 5, and Sean with the 2. Thank you guys, as well as Christopher. Thank you for the sorry, not Christopher. Goda, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal. Let's get 200 Goda W's down below. Goda didn't attach any message, only the love. Thank you so much, Goda. And folks, I'm going to be honest. At this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I'm tired out, you guys. I'm really tired out. It is 6 p.m. Honestly, I feel like just going, getting a bottle of wine and watching TV until like midnight. That sounds like something that could be fun. That sounds like a good way to calm the nerves. I don't know, you guys. The conversation with Anne, that one really got to me. That one really got to me. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Listen, folks, I really appreciate everyone so much for pulling through. Even though it was a little bit of a rough stream today with some pretty hard conversations that, really got to me and got to a lot of you guys as well because of the nature of them just being so incredibly insensitive to such sensitive topics. I appreciate you for being here. On your way out, if you're on TikTok, make sure to drop a follow. If you're on YouTube, like that stream and drop a sub. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. So, well, Sean, thank you for the $2 over at Venmo. Jaden, are you going live?
I think I will for a little bit. I got company coming over, but I got some time to kill. I'm feeling kind of energized. Real quick, Tessa, thank you for the 5. Emily, thank you for the 20. Bridget, thank you for the 20. Valerie, thank you for the 5. Valerie. And Epicness, thank you for the $1. I just cackled. Thank you. Well, Dean, thank you very much for having me. This has been a lot of fun and very informative, and I appreciate it all the time.
Yeah, cool, man. I appreciate you for coming up here as well. If you want to catch Jaden, it's at what? Like at Mr. Jaden LeBron?
Mr. Jaden LeBron, yeah.
That's right. At Mr. Jaden LeBron on TikTok. As well as I think that Parker will be on at some point here in the near future. So, all right. See you later, Jaden. Thank you for coming up. You have a good one.
All right.
He's going to go live. Everyone hanging out with us on TikTok and YouTube. Peace and love.